I've never had an egg and I've never had a kebab. I never will.
You eat cake, don't you?
Sometimes. A bit of lemon drizzle.
Yeah, it's got egg in it.
Well, it's simulated egg.
After hours football debate for poachers, private eyes.
Could I ask you something personal?
And pole dancers.
I'm not in market for business, love.
Mike Graham's been all three at some point in his career.
Oh, really, you great big sweaty bush idiot?
And I'll tell you what, you were a better pole dancer than presenter, I can tell you that.
The Two Mikes on Talk Sport.
Do you eat quinoa? What are you laughing at again? I'm trying to ask you.
Because it's pronounced quinoa.
Well, OK, all right then, that's fine. You see, it's so red, I don't even know how to pronounce it.
You don't know how to pronounce anything.
I don't know anybody who ever eats quinoa. Quinoa. Whatever.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. It's the final game of the World Series. It's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mike. And when did you adopt this ostentatious approach to life where you get a new car? We've all had new cars, you know. We've all had new cars.
I've had new cars before.
I've had probably 20 new cars in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you feel it's necessary...
You've never had one as good as this, though, have you?
And of course I have. And better. And you feel it's necessary to park your new jalopy... the Chelsea tractor type
it's
vehicle.
It's not a Chelsea tractor, as many people have pointed out to you. It's not a jalopy.
Is it a 4x4?
It is a 4x4. It's actually an all-wheel drive, technically, is what it's called.
Yeah, well, a 4x4 is a Chelsea tractor,
no,
mate.
it's not.
As
A
far as
Range
I'm
Rover
concerned.
is a Chelsea tractor.
And you park it outside the front door, and then, very pompously, tell our head of security, by the way, you keep your eye on that, do you understand? I mean, I thought that was terrible.
That was not what I said at all.
Shocking.
That was not what I said at all.
He put you in your place.
He threatened with me with violence.
He did, yeah, absolutely.
Which is not entirely what I would have expected from the head of security here at Talk Sport Towers, but there we are. Well, no, I just parked it out there because I didn't particularly want to manoeuvre it inside the very, very small Talk Sport car park.
Yeah.
Just in case I scraped it.
Oh, sorry, you're trying to make out it's small because your car is so large. That's what you're saying,
I'm not
isn't
saying
it?
that. No, it's just there's a very tight space in there.
No, it's not.
Have you ever parked your car in there?
I have, yeah.
Have you ever tried to do a three-point turn in
No,
there?
I was backing out,
That's
actually,
what I mean.
because I'm very good at backing round corners.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah.
So you practiced that for many, many years over your entire career.
That's
backing
very
around
nice,
corners.
Anyway,
look, I'm sorry you're so upset about the fact that
not
your
upset at
old
all.
Mercedes is now considered to be the jalopy of the partnership.
Excuse me.
I'm afraid it is.
Excuse me,
because not only is it, of course, out of date, because it was the last one made of that particular design.
Not at all.
That it's now hideously old.
Anyway, so what sort of car is this?
It's a Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Yeah, it's called an F-Type.
But it's...
F-Pace, actually.
Exactly. An F-Type is the new version of the E-Type, if you see what I mean.
It's an
you know,
F-Pace.
when we go down Rupel Street sometimes, there's a lady of a certain age who has one of those parked outside the front door. No, I've got my eye on the car, not the lady who drives it. When I used to go to elocution lessons at the King's School Chester...
What?
I went to elocution lessons to improve my voice.
Presumably you didn't go to very many of them.
I did. I won the reading prize. What are you laughing at?
You obviously didn't win the pronunciation prize.
I did. And
did you get a cup for that?
No, I got a book token to buy more books.
Did you?
Yes, at W.H. Smith's.
What did you buy with it?
I bought a book about leaves. I remember leaves. Yeah, how you could press them into like patterns and all that kind of stuff.
Dear.
You know. Anyway, what we used to have to say was. Pa's car is a Jaguar, and Pa goes rather far.
How ridiculously twee is that?
I don't know.
What a terrible thing to have to go through at school.
I know, yeah.
So they were teaching all these people from Chester how to speak proper English. Is that what it was?
That's right, yeah, it was actually.
Like the rain in Spain.
Yeah,
and all
that's
that.
right, yeah. But anyway, away from
it's a
that.
very nice car. And I'm not boasting about it. I felt it was time to get another car.
Yes.
It's time to get a new car, and I'm very happy with it. And I'm sorry you feel so bad about it.
I don't feel bad about it at all. You know, I wouldn't want.
You've been tweeting about it all day.
No, I wouldn't want a big car like that because I think you're taking up far too much room
you need
on the
a ladder
road.
to get up into it.
You will be a danger to cyclists because of the width of the car.
Not at all.
You will be burning up massive amounts of fossil fuel to keep the damn thing going. So
somebody's actually tweeted at me already, Stephen, saying, how about one of these personalised number plates?
Yeah,
but it goes from 6254 MG, which is $4,500,
Yep.
all the way up to MG4, which is 75,000.
75,000.
What sort of maniac would pay 75,000 for a personalised number plate?
Well, I've got a personalised number plate.
Yeah, but you don't even use it.
No, I don't. No.
You've got more than one, haven't you?
I have. I've got about 3.
Yeah, which you don't use.
No, but I when I get the car that I finally decide is my car, I shall put my Everton number plate on it.
Really?
Yes.
And what is your Everton number plate?
EV7 TN.
EV7.
No, sorry, EV7N.
It's EV7N?
Yeah.
That's not even Everton.
No, but it's the closest thing I could get to it, because there isn't one that spells out Everton. Yeah.
Well, how much did you pay for that?
About 2,500.
Really?
Yeah, because they didn't realise it spelled Everton, but I did.
Well, it doesn't spell Everton, though.
Well, it does nearly. I think. Sorry,
Really?
I think it's EVE7N. Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. But anyway, I've got it.
Well, what's the point of having an Everton number plate?
Well,
you
because
don't play for Everton.
No, I know I don't. But I mean, it's a symbol of your
Idiocy.
Association with your club and your devotion to your club, isn't it?
Can't you just get an Everton badge put on an ordinary number plate?
Not really.
No,
not really.
Well, I'm not going to get a special number plate.
Okay.
I think that's ostentatious.
Now that's all very well and all that, but I tell you what. I mean, obviously, people have been bemoaning Spurs' performance tonight. Whinging and moaning that Spurs weren't very good at Wembley.
Yeah.
But
well, they weren't, were they?
But of course, with my intrinsic knowledge of what was going to be the game of the night, I watched Real Madrid.
Oh, did you?
And Legia Warsaw.
Yes.
And
who were bottom of the league, weren't they?
Yeah, they were. And
they nearly won the game.
Yeah. Well, Real were 2-0 up. 2-0 up, 3-2 down. And then
have you got lending for that one? It doesn't rhyme with the Champions League.
No, it doesn't actually. No, and but Gareth Bale's opening goal,
that was
utterly
something
sensational.
special.
Sensational.
When you say his opening goal,
it
wasn't the opening goal though.
Yeah, it was.
I thought you said they were 2-0 down.
No, they were 2-0 up and then 3-2 down.
So they were 2-0 up.
Real Madrid was 2-0 up.
You said they were 2-0 down.
I didn't say that. I said they were 2-0 up and then 3-2 down.
Right.
And then they got an equaliser for 3-3. So,
but they're now second in their group, which is not great news for Zinedine Zidane.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, well, you see, the rumours persist about Mario Pochettino going to Real Madrid.
I don't think they'll... But if he doesn't qualify for the last 16, I don't think they'll fancy him.
Well, I mean, Spurs have got a hell of a job on their hands now. 2 games at home, quotes home, Wembley, 2 defeats. Yeah. Why don't they just change their mind and go back to White Hart Lane for the next one?
Right. I mean, as we were saying last night to Ian Bishop, there's clearly a problem with the team, not just on the field, but also in preparation. In the tunnel, in the dressing room, all of those things which are not the same.
Indeed.
Unfamiliar.
Just cancel the contract. I mean, they might say,
well, they can't, can they? They can't go back to White Hart Lane and play the Champions League there.
Yes, they can. If it costs $125,000 a night to rent the ground, which is about what I think it is, just say, we'll pay it, but we're not coming to Wembley, thanks. We're going back to White Hart Lane. Yeah. Because $125,000 is about, half what they play their best player a week.
But they could only do that, really, for the rest of the season. And by the looks of things, they're not going to be in the Champions League for the rest of the season.
Well, who knows? But I mean, if I were them...
they've got to go to Monaco and win, haven't they?
Yes, they've got to go to Monaco and win, which shouldn't be beyond the wit of man, should it, really, when you think about it? You know what I mean? Have you ever been to the... Oh, you haven't been to the ground in Monaco, have you? I told you about it.
You told me it's built above a car park.
It's on top of a multi-storey car park,
Also, they've sold all the tickets to all these people, haven't they? 85,000 fans. Where are they going to put them?
Well, this is a good question. But half of them, if they walked out as quickly tonight as if they walk out next time as quickly as they did tonight, they probably won't want to go anyway.
No,
it's the point.
Well, it's a massive problem for them, I would have thought.
I would say it's a gigantic problem. I mean, look at it. West Ham, problem with grounds. Tottenham, Tottenham, problem with grounds. I mean, Chelsea, problem with grounds.
I'm not even sure
can't get the new ground built.
I'm not even sure it's problems with grounds necessarily, but problem with Wembley. I mean, England don't play very well at Wembley either.
No, they don't.
Maybe there's something wrong with Wembley.
Yeah, well, could be.
Could there be a Wembley jinx, like the Porky jinx?
The Wembley jinx? No, I don't think so. And there's no such thing as a Porky jinx anyway. But, I'm not going to sort of start jousting intellectually with you on that because
very good idea.
It would look like a massacre.
Now, how excited are you about the World Series? Because it's Game 7, right?
Yeah.
It's currently 2-1 to the Chicago Cubs against the Cleveland Indians. We're going to talk to Mark Donaldson.
Me down.
We're going to talk to Mark Donaldson a little while because he's a big expert on baseball, loves baseball. And it's a great game. It's a great game to watch. And I'm so glad that it's on while this show is on.
Yeah.
So we can continue to give updates.
Do you know what
it's now 3-1 to the Cubbies.
Yeah, by the way, why does a baseball helmet have an ear cover on only one side?
Because if you're a batter, you don't need an ear cover on 2 sides. You only need an ear cover on the side.
Yeah, but they wear it when they're out in the field as well.
Well, no, it depends.
Why is that?
Well, it depends. They wear caps out in the field. Look, see, that guy's wearing a cap.
Yeah.
That's gone to the wall. The Cubs are doing well here. They're getting some more guys around. They've got another run in.
See, what I don't understand is, you see these coaches at baseball. Sorry, go on.
Do you want to answer the first question?
Well, I thought you'd answered it.
The guys that you see with the covered ear are batters, right?
Yes.
So when they start running, they don't take their hat off.
Yeah, that's right.
So they're still wearing, and so they wear the protection on the ear that they're being pitched at.
Yeah, but I mean, any pitcher who's hitting them in the ear is not a very good pitcher, is he?
Well, sometimes they do it deliberately.
Yeah, well, that's true. At your head. But do you know what I find so remarkable? These coaches in baseball, they look so earnest. Yeah. They're always like very stone-faced, chewing gums relentlessly, listening into their earphones. But I mean, what I just don't get is this. You can't coach a bloke to swing a rounder's bat. There's only one way of doing it.
No, that's not true.
You hold it like this.
That's not true.
And when a pitcher's throwing a ball at you, you have to try and swipe it.
Yeah.
You can't coach a bloke to do that.
But do you not know about the secret signals and all that?
Of course I know about the secret signals. That takes about 3 seconds to work out.
What?
Right, here's the secret signal, the V sign, all this kind of stuff.
So what about the guy behind the catcher, right?
Yeah.
He's constantly making signals between his haunched legs.
Yes.
To the pitcher. What do you think he's telling him?
He's telling him where to put it. He's telling him which way to spin it.
He's telling him what kind of pitch to throw.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. If you will listen.
But there are also people out on the field who are making secret signals at the bench.
Yeah.
Who are making secret signals.
Yeah, but the coach has got nothing to do with all that.
Yeah, they have.
No, he hasn't.
Yes, they have. They've got a first base coach. They've got a second base coach. They've got a third base coach. They're all signalling to each other all the time.
You can't teach a man to swing a rounder's bat.
Well, it couldn't teach you to swing a rounder's bat, that's for sure.
Well, if I had a rounder's bat, I'd
I know what you're about to say.
I was going to take to your new car with my rounder's bat.
This is what happens when you do what? That's another line for the Big Lebowski, which you can't say on Talk Sport, I should say. This is Talk Sport. We'll be back with more from the World Series and Mike Parry next.
The Two Mikes, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Jump in my car, I wanna take you home. Come on and jump in my car. It's too far to walk on your own.
No thank you, sir.
Oh, come on, I'm just where they got.
No thank you, sir.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. Porkyvision coming up a little bit later on, of course. We are doing a Porky quiz this week, tomorrow, in fact, on the history of television, right? Isn't that what it is? History of programming or something?
Well, you don't even know what it is.
Well, I can't remember.
Have you briefed the question masters?
I have briefed the quiz masters, yeah.
Yeah, that corrupt band of people who are in your pocket. Yeah, I know.
No, they're not.
I know how you will have briefed them.
I told them it was something to do with the history of television.
It's the history of television in Britain since 1936 when it started.
Right.
But it's terrestrial TV only,
yes,
okay?
That's right, yeah. I knew I told them, but I couldn't remember exactly what I told them. I had a very busy day yesterday. A couple of tweets to come in. Anonymous says this: aren't Spurs playing at Wembley because of work getting carried out at White Hart Lane? Well, yes and no. I mean, the work is being carried out at White Hart Lane, but it's not going to actually close White Hart Lane completely.
No, it's not.
Until next season.
Well, if they can play
but
Premier
it will
League
next season.
Yeah, but if they can play Premier League games at White Hart Lane, why can't they play Champions League games? I mean, in the season that Harry Redknapp was their boss and they steamrolled through Europe when Gareth Bale emerged as the great player he is today. I mean, the atmosphere was electric at White Hart Lane. Ask any of the boys there. Ask our old mate John, who's got a box there. He used to rattle the windows of his box and all that kind of stuff, you know? So I don't understand why they've decided to go to somebody else's ground, in fact, a neutral ground to all intents and purposes, to play their most important games. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's not helping them, is it? How about this one from Steve? He says, my name is Stephen, so EVT7N is close enough to my name.
Hey?
He says EVT7N is quite close to his name, Stephen.
Oh, I suppose it is a bit, but I mean...
It's a sort of an anagram of Stephen.
Yeah, but hang on, Stephen starts with an S and a T.
Yes.
This plate starts with an E. So I'm sorry, you've lost your first two digits,
Well,
pal.
no, but it's like an anagram, isn't it?
Yeah.
You could almost make Stephen out of it, I think is what he's saying.
I don't think so.
James says, Jalopy, wow, jealous Porky has arrived. MG has a new Jaguar, as Porky has a Jalopy Benz.
No, not at all. Not at all. My car is a superior car. I have no problem at all. There's some people here, honestly, they just won't let it go. Elocution lessons for Porky. How now, brown cow?
Yeah.
And his number plate should be Planko 8.
Yeah,
that's
true.
very nice, isn't it?
Well, considering the mispronunciation...
That comes from somebody called Mooar.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you moo off?
I mean, considering the mispronunciations of words that you carry out in a sort of criminal fashion, I'm amazed that actually you had any elocution lessons at all.
Say what?
What?
Sorry, that wasn't Mooar, by the way, who sent that message.
You're not listening to me.
I have to correct this before I...
Who was it?
Luxury Lizzie, saying, how now, brown cow, Plangate, 50p, oh no, oh. but just say she loves us, really.
Right.
Anyway, go on, I'm sorry.
Well, what's the mooah bit, then?
I think that's a moi, to sort of kiss, you know what I mean?
That's MWAH.
Yeah, that's what women send me when they want to show a sign of affection. No, I thought it was.
It's in front of one of the papers tonight. Why sex in later life is the best you ever have.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How late in life?
Well, not as late as you, obviously.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it?
But
now,
we'll be talking about that later on, because
Yeah.
Lisa Daly's coming on, who is our relationships expert.
Right.
And she's going to be talking to us about a new survey which says
Yes.
that pudgy older fathers not only live longer, but are more attractive to the opposite sex. What do you make of that?
Pudgy fathers?
Pudgy older fathers.
Pudgy older fathers?
Yeah.
You mean like you?
People who have children later in life. Yeah.
Like you?
A bit like me, yeah.
Yeah, so would you agree you're pudgy?
I would say I'm a bit pudgy, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, and you're an older father.
I am.
And apparently these are attractive to women.
To women, yeah, more attractive,
What do you think about that?
I'd say it's true.
Oh, really? So you're holding your hands up then? You are, in fact, a sex-crazed, middle-aged, fat father of boys who don't know that their fathers are licentious old groper.
That's not
Is
true.
that it?
No, that's not.
That's what I think it says.
That's not at all what it says.
That's what I think it says.
But it says also that those people are less likely to die of heart attacks.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're saying a bit of
to get prostate cancer.
Oh, I see. So a bit of horizontal refreshment.
Well, it's very good for exercise for you.
While you're a fat, middle-aged, lecherous groper.
Yeah.
You saying, "Oh, I'll only do it to live longer, so I can see my boys grow up."
It's true.
Wonder if your children know that's your excuse for your
I'm sure you'll tell them
behaviour that illustrates your morals of an alley cat.
My children are very happy
lifestyle.
with my relationship with them, and I don't think you should in any way try to besmirch it.
Well, I tell you what, mate, it doesn't take me to besmirch it. They can tell. Those
Really?
children can tell. They can see a lecherous old groper when they spot one.
That's a
Don't
terrible
you worry.
way to describe me. It really isn't very pleasant at all.
No, well, I'm sorry, but I don't think it's very pleasant. You know, your alley cat lifestyle.
Have you seen the story about Andy Carroll, by the way?
No, isn't he supposed to have been held up by gunpoint or something?
By gunpoint by bike raiders, apparently, on his way home from training on at West Ham on Wednesday night.
Sorry, do you mean like a cycle bike rider?
Well, no, I think they mean, motorcycle raiders. I mean, you wouldn't be very scared of a guy on a bike if you were in a car, would you?
What if he had a gun and he's pointing at the window that was in your car while you were driving?
Well, according to the piece I'm reading here, he was driving home alone to Essex in his £100,000 Mercedes G-Wagon. That thing looks like a Jeep.
Yeah, see, all the best people have Mercs. Yeah, go on.
Well, you're saying you and Andy Carroll?
Well, I'm not saying that Andy Carroll and I have anything in common, but anyway, go on. Yeah.
Apparently, he was confronted at a junction by two motorcyclists, one brandishing a gun.
Yeah.
They threatened Carroll and demanded he pull over, but the West Ham striker, fearing for his life, sped off in a bid to escape.
I think most of us would, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But apparently he struck several vehicles as he turned and headed back to West Ham's training ground at Rush Green.
I don't really blame him, to be honest.
And the would-be assailants failed to keep up with Carroll as he drove at speed.
Yeah.
I mean, so basically what's happened here is that he hasn't been held up.
No.
But he's driven away at high speed from something.
Yes.
And hit a load of cars.
Yes.
And he says that there were people pointing guns at him. I'm not suggesting for a minute that
I think
that
you
wouldn't
are.
be the case.
I think you're insinuating
I'm not suggesting that for a minute.
He may be confused, a little confused as to
that would be outrageous.
How real the threat to him really was.
No, that would be terrible.
And that
I'm sure
he
he's
may have been suffering a momentary lapse of concentration or something.
No, I mean they're saying he's very shaken in the story, and he may well be.
Yes.
And hopefully he'll be okay because he's been out for a long time. He was injured in August, I think, wasn't he? Hasn't played since.
He's had the most immeasurably bad luck with injuries that I know of any footballer since old Sick Note. Darren
Anderton.
Darren Anderton, yeah that's right.
What about Jack Wilshere?
Well, Jack Wilshere's done something about it. He's decided to go and seek rehabilitation in new pastures and gone to the south coast with Bournemouth.
Did you see that? He said
where it seems to all be working out for him, by the way.
Well, he's played 2 games of 90 minutes.
That's right, which he hasn't done for the 18 months.
Well, it's hardly a full season, is it?
No, but I mean, it's something he wasn't doing at Arsenal, and he's got Eddie Howe as a guiding sort of light on his, hand on his shoulder, father figure, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Hey, did you know that Debbie Harry appears to be going out with Ray Davies of the Kings?
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's a pretty good rock and roll partnership, isn't it?
Somebody pointed that out to me
He must
today.
be ancient by now, surely.
Well, didn't we interview him, or did I and Andy Townsend?
I think it was you and Andy Townsend.
Came in the studio, and he was so stick thin and white, I feared for the boy, you know what I mean? However, as he wrote some of the greatest pop songs that have ever been broadcast...
Yes, Waterloo Sunset amongst them.
Waterloo Sunset, and Thank You for the Days.
Lola.
And but Lola was a weird record.
Lola's great.
Yeah, but it's about a transsexual person in a Soho nightclub, isn't it?
What's wrong with that?
Well, only that, in those days, this was in the 60s, nobody quite knew what he was getting at.
Well, nobody knew what anybody was getting at in the 60s.
Well, that's true, yeah. In fact, most of the people in the 60s didn't know what they were getting at.
No. Or they didn't know what they were getting either.
What was that famous expression? If you can remember the 60s, you weren't really there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Well, there was that other great one from Dennis Hopper in a film where he said, that the 90s are going to make the 60s look like the 50s.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And who was Timothy, what's his name? Turn on.
Timothy Leary.
Timothy Leary, turn on. Tune in.
Drop out.
Drop out.
Yes. Exactly right.
Most of them turned on, tuned in, and dropped dead. Because they took too many
Very
drugs.
harsh. Now, this is a good one from Steve. So I thought you guys might have mentioned Porky's beloved ABBA reforming for a tour in 2017.
But
they're not, are they?
No,
this is actually a bit of a con job, what ABBA are doing.
It's all holograms.
Because they're going to do some kind of digital experiment.
Can I tell you this?
Go on.
If ABBA reformed and Agnetha waddled onto the stage at the age she is now...
Waddled?
Yes,
That's
waddled.
not very chivalrous thing to
onto
say.
the stage at the age she is now...
I thought she was looking rather good, actually.
I don't. I think... Well, she doesn't look anything like she used to look when she was singing SOS.
Well, you don't look anything like you used to look when she was singing
No,
SOS
I totally
either.
agree. But I don't claim to, be a replica of my young self. And for her to go on stage and do that would be a disaster. And it would despair me. I would be in despair.
Would you?
Put it that way, yeah.
Okay.
Definitely.
It seems like a very odd idea, really. Because generally speaking, they haven't reformed because they don't really get along with each other anymore.
Well, it's not that they don't get along with each other anymore. I think it's just that I think they just don't see the purpose of it. I mean, old Benny and Bjorn are making millions a year anyway out of the Mamma Mia stage musical. Because it's all their music and all that kind of stuff. Whereas, of course, Agnetha, who was married into royalty, into Scandinavian royalty, and...
she was married to one of them, wasn't she? But they're not all married to each other.
They're all married to each other.
Yeah.
Agnetha was married to...
She was Benny, wasn't she?
Hang on. Who was the guy who had the very high heels? That was Benny. No, that was Bjorn. Right. And Anna Fred was married to
the other one.
Benny. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. But those two guys used to go down the garden to this shed and write all these brilliant records. Some of the greatest pop songs of all time. Mamma Mia, SOS.
Yeah.
I say thank you for the music.
Yeah, you don't have to sing
the
it.
songs I'm singing, all that kind of stuff.
Thank you for not singing.
And of course, I think the idea of them getting back together again would just be foolhardy.
Yeah,
foolhardy.
I think you're absolutely right. They're probably still going to do it because they're going to make an absolute fortune.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to Mark Donaldson coming up. He's going to give us the lowdown on what's going on with the Chicago Cubs and the Cleveland Indians. And of course,
like
he'll give us his
cares.
view. Loads of people care. I've had tweets all day from people saying, please keep us updated.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like it's a solo home run from Javier Baez, which makes it 4-1 to the Cubbies.
Hey, not a solo home.
So if you got your money on Cleveland, it looks like you're out of luck. This is Talk Sport.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The pressure's on now.
Relieve the itch. Talk Sport.
People so busy, make me feel dizzy. Taxi light shines so bright. But I don't need no friend. As long as I gaze on Waterloo sunset, I am in paradise.
Doesn't get old, that song, does it?
No, it doesn't get old.
I mean, it could have been written yesterday.
Yeah. Now, somebody told me, somebody who is a great Kinks fan, said that although that is supposed to be about the Waterloo sunset because Ray Davies was in hospital at the time in
St Thomas's.
St Thomas's on the banks of the River Thames.
Yeah.
But I was told, honestly, by it was a guy actually who was associated with Everton Football Club. It was a couple of years back, and he was a Kinks fan since the 60s. You know, and he said he got every Kinks record or every book on them, and he swears that Ray Davies was actually in hospital on Merseyside.
Really?
Overlooking the River Mersey, and he wrote about the River Mersey.
Well, I've heard that story as well, actually.
Have you?
Yeah.
But
I don't know which one of them's true.
No, I don't. But then when he submitted it to his publisher and the record company, and they said, "Well, this must be a Waterloo sunset?" And he said, "Yeah." And I don't know how it transferred from the Mersey to Waterloo to London.
Somebody will probably know. I'm sure somebody will let us know.
Yeah, I hope so.
Sean says this, Porky and Andy Carroll have plenty in common. They're both well-to-do men who also manage to look like vagrants.
That's a bit harsh. Perhaps we're also, we have pride in our homes and both provide slippers for our guests who want to come into our homes.
Actually, you do have that similarity as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they don't...
You've seen that picture of all of his slippers.
That's right, yeah. So they don't tread, outside impregnation dirt into our carpets.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, there's a bit of a social etiquette question that's going to be coming up shortly, isn't there? Because you've been invited to Shay Graham for a sort of Sunday roast on a Saturday.
Yes.
I don't know what the slipper situation is going to be. Would you like me to provide you with slippers?
Well, you're going to have to work it out, pal.
Well, I can bring you some hotel slippers which are unopened if you want.
Yeah, okay, that'll be good.
A pair of those?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, that's...
Because you don't wear shoes inside the house either.
I don't know. No, I don't know. That seems like a fair compromise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's one from Stephen who says, Porky, do you think old MG is having a midlife crisis? New car, losing all his shirts, always going on holiday.
Yeah, well...
What do you think?
Yeah, I know.
See, that's the sort of thing that you've been propagating about me.
Well...
That I'm always going on holiday. I've been on holiday twice this year.
Yes.
Which is no more than... in fact, it's probably less than average.
Hang on. For a total of 22 days. No, sorry, 23 days.
What do you mean 23 days?
23 days you've been away.
Oh, I haven't. I've been away 3 weeks.
15 days on the first holiday.
I think 8 wasn't it?
8 on the second is 23 days. That's nearly 5 weeks, right? It's nearly 5 working weeks.
How is it 5 weeks?
It's nearly 5 working weeks.
How does that work?
Because most people work 5 days a week.
Well,
so that's nearly 5 working weeks. So don't start telling me that, I never take any holiday. And that, by the way...
When did I say I didn't take any holiday? What I said was I'm not always on holiday, which is what he's saying.
That, by the way, is from August till November. That is August, September, October. In 3 months.
Yeah.
So you're taking 5 weeks off in 3 months. So, that to me shows a complete lack of dedication
because
the job.
I didn't take any holidays from January to August. That'll be why.
Holidays from January to August, yeah. I don't know. You make it up as you go along, you do. Yeah, Nobody believes anything you say.
Are you sure you're not
You're
talking about yourself?
With a big car and...
you're looking in a mirror. You're a fat-o for the big car. Yeah, nobody believes a word you say. You make it up as you go along. Are you sure you're talking about me?
And with a moral bar which has been lowered to ankle level.
Yeah, well, at least I haven't got a bar in my house.
Well, I haven't got a bar in my house.
Although, do you know, when the place I stayed at in Sicily, the guy used to be an Italian restaurant owner.
Oh, yes.
In Scunthorpe, of all places,
Scunthorpe?
Right? And he had this...
Yeah, that's a great Italian influence, isn't it?
Well, he's obviously made very...
Did he make, like, Scunthorpe's bag of bowl?
Well, he was obviously very successful because he made enough money to move back to Sicily and retire and build a whole house for himself, which he now rents out when he's not living in it,
by running an Italian restaurant in Scunthorpe?
Yes.
Really?
Well, I mean, why would you be surprised?
Well, Scunthorpe's a very poor town because the steelworks closed down.
Well,
everybody's unemployed in Scunthorpe.
Well, I'm sure that's not true.
I wonder how many of these...
why are you going to slag off Scunthorpe
I'm not slagging off Scunthorpe. I'm just telling you what...
said nobody's got a job there.
No, he has. I'm just telling you about the geopolitical situation in Scunthorpe, and that is that only about 3 people out of 10 can ever afford to go to an Italian restaurant.
Incorrect.
So I wonder how he made himself millions in Scunthorpe.
Well, he's got 2 brothers who now run 2 other Italian restaurants.
Sure, he wasn't a sort of, didn't run a sort of mafiosi-type operation in Scunthorpe.
Well, there's not much point in trying to sort of screw money out of people illegally if they haven't got any, is there?
Well, in some really...
You wouldn't choose to run a numbers racket in a place where nobody's got any money.
Well, yeah, but, in some really desperate situations, these mafiosi guys, they wait outside the benefits office until the people are coming out with the money and then they take it off them.
Where have you heard that from?
It does
just
happen.
made that up.
No, it does happen.
You just made that up.
No, it can happen.
But anyway, what he had was, right, he walked into... It was about 4 stories, this place, right?
Yeah.
And on the second...
Well, sorry, this place you stayed in?
Yeah.
It was 4 stories?
Yeah.
And he bought that on the proceeds of being a businessman in Scunthorpe.
He built it.
There's something going on here.
He built it right opposite Etna.
I think somebody in Scunthorpe should make have an immediate investigation into why... why there's no money in Scunthorpe?
It's all in Sicily.
This Italian guy's got back
taking
to
it all away.
Yeah,
well, maybe he's an olive oil importer or something like that. Anyway, he had this whole second floor, which was done out like a bar.
Like a bar,
He had a pub sort of pub bar in the corner.
Very nice.
And he had buckets of champagne. He had huge sort of Jeroboams of champagne, all sitting there. I mean, obviously I couldn't drink any of them because they were for his own purposes.
I want to know if there's anybody listening who's from Scunthorpe, please, because this man must have been a very successful restaurateur in Scunthorpe.
He was. He had.
But Scunthorpe's never had a successful restaurant.
Well, I don't think you're right about that because
he comes from Scunthorpe, don't you?
Who?
Kevin Keegan.
Does he?
Ray Clements.
Yeah.
And I mean, they left as quickly as they possibly could.
I thought Ray Clements came from somewhere else in Lincolnshire.
No, Scunthorpe.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he basically had his restaurant written up in the Daily Telegraph, so it must have been quite a famous restaurant.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I just don't get it. It's like saying, I made myself $1 million by opening a restaurant in Workington or something like that.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, because nobody would come to it.
I mean, you claim to be this man of the north, man of the people, right?
Yeah.
Your heartland is in the north of England.
Yes.
But you're so disparaging of people up there
because
you think they're less than you
because
they haven't got any money.
Not at all.
Kevin
I love
Keegan
the north
from
of England.
Doncaster, by the way.
Yes, I know, but he played for Scunthorpe, and so did Ray Clements.
Well, he didn't come from Scunthorpe.
Well, he had spent part of his life living in Scunthorpe, didn't he?
Ray Clements was from Skegness.
Skegness, yeah, but I mean, he played for Scunthorpe as well, so don't worry about that.
It doesn't mean he's from there.
Well, it's all around there, isn't it? It's a conurbation of towns, a bit like the Potteries.
Is it?
Potteries is made up of 5 towns.
Is that right?
Port Vale, Burslem, Stoke.
Yeah. Go on.
2 others. Sorry, what's your problem? Huh?
You can't name the other 2.
Well, that's not important.
Is it Stafford one of them?
No, Stafford's another town in Staffordshire. Litchfield's the captain of Staffordshire.
I went to Stafford Bingley Halls once.
Oh, did you?
Which is a massive sort of concert venue.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
To see the Who.
The Who, right? Okay, yeah, I can understand that. I had a girlfriend in Stafford.
Did you? What was her name?
Carol.
Carol?
Yeah, and it was the end of the A38.
Not Carol Malone?
No, not Carol Malone, no. It was the end of the A38, although she was blonde and bubbly and had a terrific figure. But her father thought I was...
So she was at the end of the A38?
Yes, she was, yeah. But her father, because I was quite a bit older than her, well, when I say quite a bit older, I was about 23 or 24 and she was about 19.
Right.
And he thought that my intentions were not honourable. He was right. Because she used to wear pencil-thin skirts.
Pencil-thin skirts?
And she liked climbing...
Do you mean pencil skirts?
Pencil skirts, that's right.
Pencil-thin skirts?
She used to wear pencil skirts. And she loved climbing to the back of my Vauxhall Viva.
I thought you were going to say something else there.
No, she loved climbing to the back seat of my Vauxhall Viva, yeah.
Just while you were in the front.
No. Don't be silly.
Don't forget, says William, MG, Porky had a drinks cabinet with his drinks filled with gravy. That was what I was laughing at. When you employed that Dipso cleaner.
Yeah, but it wasn't my fault. I didn't know the bottles were full of gravy until her son came round and said, I was going to tell you, what is it? Oh, my mother's just drunk herself to death. I said, it's very sad. He said, it's even sadder. She used all your booze to help her on her way.
Absolutely shocking.
I know.
Ian Botham used to play football for Scunthorpe United, according to Scott.
Yes, he did once or twice, but he
was quite a good footballer, wasn't he?
I think only for the reserves, though. Right. I think like sort of officially.
And Lee says, MG, don't you start doing the slipper thing like Porky's mad lot in Bournemouth.
No. I think you should. I think you improve your home and improve your moral standing and all that kind of stuff. I've been looking at a report, by the way. You're talking about football grounds, just to get back to them for a minute, about West Ham's ground.
Yes.
And amongst some of the allegations which have been made is that the cost per season of putting in and taking out the temporary seating when there was an athletics meeting or something like that was put at 300,000 a time.
Yeah.
It's actually 8 million.
What?
It's actually 8 million a time.
Who came up with these estimates?
I've no idea. But the thing is, what they're saying is, look, if the temporary seating was there and the rest of the ground is here with an unbroken sort of, circle, where's the temporary seating supposed to go?
Yeah.
And the whole idea is that you had to open up huge areas of the ground.
I thought it was all going to be a sort of a sliding effect.
Everybody
slide
did.
Everything in and out.
Everybody did. But when they got there was no slide.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And also, how often are you going to go and fill a stadium for an athletics event? I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it happened in 2012 because it was the Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's never going to happen, on an annual basis, is it?
No.
Nick says this: the Portmeister has previous for baseball bats in residential premises. Rein him in, please.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
No, I don't either.
I haven't heard any stories.
I've never had a baseball bat. When I worked at the Birmingham Mail, whenever one of the guys went to America, because...
what, from the Birmingham Mail?
Well, in those days, newspapers had quite a lot of money. So
5-1 to the Cubs now, by the way. It's not looking good for the Indians.
Oh, that's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. So, for instance, if Aston Villa were on a pre-season tour or Birmingham City on a pre-season tour, they go to America, and the local reporter would go with them. And they always came back with a blinking baseball glove and a baseball bat and a baseball. It was standard.
Yeah.
And it's
the kind of thing that you do. I mean, I told you my story about buying my sister. She wanted a baseball glove.
That's right.
When I was 15. And as a result, I spent all my spending money.
That's right.
On her glove.
On her baseball glove.
And everything else I brought home I had to steal.
Yeah, steal.
Yeah.
Admitting to being a thief again, are you?
What do you mean again?
Well, because you used to steal chocolate bars from Woolworths, you told me.
Not Woolworths, no.
Where was it?
No, it was from the occasional sort of newsagent. When I was at school.
That is so disgraceful.
When I was at school.
To be able to say that with
I was a schoolboy.
But doesn't your conscience get you at night when you lie in bed and think the
what
thievery? What conscience?
I haven't got conscience.
Yeah, that's it. What
I haven't got one. I've seen the time.
Yeah. Well, don't worry about the time, mate. What I'm worried about is the moral compass inside this studio, not the time.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Crazy,
but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as ho-ho-hos. Yeah, but maybe.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes, getting very exciting over in the US of A with the World Series Game 7. The Cubs looking as if they've got rather a substantial lead now, and I'm grateful for the fact that we've now got somebody intelligent to talk to about it, Mr. Mark Donaldson from ESPN. Mark, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
I wouldn't go that far. How are you both?
Very well indeed.
Hi, Mark. Very good,
Porky
thank
is
you.
unmoved by this act of incredible kind of sporting history unfolding before our eyes.
Yeah, I wondered with Porky, his disdain for NFL has been pretty evident. What about the baseball? If you had a choice, you could get corporate hospitality at one or the other. What would you rather have, the baseball or the NFL, Porky?
Oh, baseball without a shadow of a doubt. Because there are times during a baseball game when you could go to sleep if you didn't have a drink to keep you company, you know what I mean? Because it sort of ebbs and flows. But I was just saying to old MG here, a man who admits that he is a pudgy, middle-aged individual who seeks sex from women as a way out of his...
That's not true. No, that's not what I said.
As a way out of his frustrating midlife crisis, who's, by the way, just
Mark knows very well that my midlife crisis has been going on for a long time.
Indeed it has. But, Mark, what I said about... the baseball coaches is that you see these guys who look so earnest all the time, chewing gum or chewing tobacco, walking around the edge of the field, always got headsets on, they're always talking to somebody, listening to somebody. But how much of a genius do you need to be to teach a bloke to pick up a rounder's bat and swing it at a ball that somebody's throwing at him? I mean, what?
Look, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert, but guys like Terry Francona, who's in charge of the Cleveland Indians, he won it with the Boston Red Sox, and I think it was Game 6. They showed the mess that he leaves with the bubblegum packets and the nuts and the peanuts that he chews and whatever. Now they've got to make the decision. Look, is it time to take out the pitcher if he's not having the best of games? And we've already seen a pitching change for Cleveland with Kluber. He's been taken out as well. So the interesting thing about this one over here is not so much this game, it's the fact that it's gone to Game 7. So what's happened? It's on Fox over here, which is a mainstream channel. It's like a BBC 1 or 2 or ITV or whatever. Yeah. However, NBC... which is one of the main competitors, and ABC, which is owned by Disney, and CBS have pretty much cancelled. They're only showing replays of things tonight. They cancelled the original shows that they were meant to have because they're expecting more than 30 million viewers to watch Fox. And they're like, you know what? It's pointless putting anything new up against this because there's so many households watching the baseball tonight that the rest of them, after Game 6, was finished, and we knew there was going to be a deciding Game 7. They just ripped it up, and there's just repeats on every other channel.
Well, also, if you tell Porky how much money is involved in baseball, he'd suddenly have a newfound respect for it. I mean, Carlos Santana, for example, not the guitarist.
Yes, I know you mean.
Who plays for the Cleveland Indians, makes about $6 million a year. As a player. That's without any kind of extra sponsorship on top.
So that's $4 million a year.
Well, not at the moment. It's not. It's more like 5, actually.
5 million a year, but we've got a lot of footballers in this country who earn more than that a year.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of that don't as well.
Yeah, well,
so I mean, what I'm saying is that look, it's a very, very big money sport.
I accept it's huge, and there's not a problem there. It's just I quite enjoy a day out at the baseball because what I really love, Mark, in those baseball stadiums, used to go and watch the Yankees, right, is the ladies who walk around with a tray of beer in the same way that ladies used to walk around with a tray of ice cream in our cinemas in this country. You know what I mean? It's very civilised. You can sit there and be served beer at your seat.
I think I'm trying to put that into context with an Arsenal-Spurs game in the Premier League or whatever. So basically what happens is whether it's the lady or whether it's the guy that comes by with a beer or the peanuts, and he'll shout, anybody want anything? And it's overpriced, and they always have it like $9 or $8.75, so you hand over a 10 and you don't give them a tip. But you say, just pass it along. But to pass along the beer, the $10 is going to be passed along in the first instance.
That's right.
How many times is that £10 note going to be handed from the middle of the seats all the way to the end and actually get it to the end?
It never happened, would it?
To pay for that.
It's true.
And by the way, one of the most highly paid players is Clayton Kershaw from the Dodgers. He's a pitcher. $34 million a year. They play 162 games in the regular season, 81 at home. But the pictures are only on kind of 3 or 4 days because obviously they've got to rest their arm. 35 million, Porky, per year for a baseball player.
Not bad. Yeah, incredible. No, I agree.
Now, currently it's at the bottom of the fifth. It's 5-1 to Chicago.
Nobody cares about this. Well, why don't we talk about football? Because Mark knows about football as well, you know.
We're going to get to football. This is how you end the conversation about the baseball, by asking for a prediction. And then we'll move on.
Okay,
so we don't just, sort of flap around like a pair of old maniacs.
I tell you what, there'll be people going out now, breaking down the doors of the bookies to get in to have a bet, yeah?
Well, they will in Vegas. 5-1 to the Cubs. Cleveland aren't coming back from this, are they?
No, I don't think so. And by the way, if there's anybody out there, which there's not, who's got a treble on, Leicester City to win the Premier League, Hibernian to win the Scottish Cup, and Chicago Cubs to win the World Series, which they've not done since 1908, they'll buy a Caribbean island. It's been the year of the underdog and the year of the unexpected results.
Yes, absolutely right. And talking of unexpected results, there was one last night for Spurs, who don't seem to be able to play at Wembley.
What is going on there?
What is going on?
Every time they've played at Wembley this season, they've struggled performance-wise as well. And that's a shocker because Leverkusen are all right. They're nothing special. But Spurs are now struggling. I mean, they're third place in Group E with just a couple of games to go. And you look at that group as a Spurs fan, when it was drawn, you're thinking, whoa, hello.
Yeah.
Monaco, Bayer Leverkusen and CSKA Moscow. That's a dream group for Spurs. What a mess they're making of it.
They really are.
Yeah,
and I mean,
mess.
The problem with Wembley is we explained earlier, is that they can't play at White Hart Lane because UEFA rules say they can't do it. Now they've started working on the new build, as it were. So they're stuck with Wembley, but they seemingly are sort of jinxed by it at the same time.
But the recent form isn't very good as well. I mean, you go back.
Well, they haven't scored a goal, I think,
in something.
They haven't scored a goal in 5 games. Might even be 6 games in open play.
Yeah, and they've not won since, I think they beat Man City 2-0 at the start of October. And they're struggling. I was speaking to your producer just before I came on air, and he was saying that Eriksen's not been playing well for a long time, and Dele Alli's got a lot on his shoulders. Son hasn't getting the goals. I think they get Harry Kane back, but it might be too late for their Champions League because they go to Monaco, which won't be easy. That's on match day 5, and then they've got to finish off the group against CSKA Moscow at home. That might be too late. I suppose there's elements of West Ham here as well, and they're struggling with the new setting of their new stadium, and Spurs just haven't been able to play at Wembley.
No. And you worry about Harry Kane as well, because, I mean, he injured himself, in a rather stupid lunge when he was playing for England, and he could come back a bit like Andy Carroll sometimes has in the past, and, there'll be so much on his shoulders to score a goal that he'll lunge again and he'll get injured again.
Yeah, I think as well as kind of Harry Kane, I mean, they need him. There's no doubt about that. But he wasn't exactly flying before he got injured as well.
True.
I think the key that they've missed is Toby Alderweireld. I remember many years ago covering the Eredivisie in Ajax, and Vertonghen and Alderweireld was the back pair at centre-back, and they've got this wonderful relationship together. They play well, they know each other's games well, the Belgians, and Eric Dyer's a good enough player. However, you're chopping and changing at left-back between Davis and Danny Rose as well. Just too many changes for me, and it's going to take a big ask for Spurs to get through from that.
No, we should all be talking about Leicester, really, of course, because they haven't even conceded a goal in the Champions League. I mean, this is astonishing. The first time they've ever played in the competition. They're rock solid at the back. 10 points, top of their group, 3 victories and a draw. Quite astonishing.
Isn't it just? I mean, there were 3 teams prior to this week's action who hadn't conceded. I did one of the games yesterday. I did Juventus. They conceded late on, so that leaves only Sevilla and Leicester. And we looked at their away form. I mean, I was at Anfield for the Liverpool game. They were rubbish in that game as well, and they've been turned over away from home. But I just saw signs against Spurs at White Hart Lane that they may have turned a corner away from home because their home form's decent as well.
Yep.
Look, I'm not going to say they're going to win the Champions League just because they won the Premier League. It doesn't work like that as well. But after a sticky start to the season, I think it's a good story that they're getting back, and they've got a very winnable game this weekend as well at home. So they may be on the up, Leicester City, and good on them. It's a great story.
Well, yeah,
indeed,
it is.
Indeed.
And it'd be great to see them in the last 16 of the Champions League,
Certainly
no matter how far they get. And just going back to Tottenham for a minute, I mean, dropping down to 5th, a couple of points off the top 4. How are your sort of betting sort of senses going on the way the Premier League is set up at the moment?
Well, just when you think that something's going to happen, something different happens. I mean, you've got Man City who were amazing at West Brom, and they looked good against Barcelona as well. But prior to that, they weren't firing on all cylinders. So there's weaknesses of every single one of the kind of guys at the top of the table. I mean, Liverpool's defence hasn't been the best, but they're scoring goals going forward. City may have clicked, but again, they're always kind of a ricket or two you expect from their defence. Chelsea, since they've changed, they were poor before the formational change, but he seems to have found a 3-4-3 that works with Alonso one side and Moses on the other. Arsenal right now, they've got Giroud, who's back. Do you keep him on the bench and bring him on this weekend, or do you start him and move Alexis Sanchez back? I mean, a lot of the guys at the top of the table, a lot of the teams at the top of the table are very strong middle to front. There's still question marks about their defence. So I think we're going to get a title race, and I'm looking forward to this. Don't ask me who's going to predict it, because I have no idea.
I mean, I suppose what might be easier to predict is that Manchester United will not make the top four. I think you can pretty much say that at this point, can't you?
Yeah, and I just don't get them as well. I mean, Jose Mourinho and the issues that he's having just now. But I think Manchester United, above all the other teams, are the team that's closest to a crisis, because they always seem to be just one game away. Pogba's not playing well, or Ibrahimovic isn't scoring, and they've got issues at the back as well. They've been linked with a couple of centre-backs from abroad. It is a work in progress for Jose Mourinho, but I read an interesting article a couple of days ago with some of the older managers from the 80s and 90s. They were saying, well, back in the day, you used to get, not 5 years, but the equivalent of 5 years to turn things around. Now you're not getting 5 months. Look in the Championship with guys like Walter Zenga and Alan Stubbs and a lot of the other guys. You're getting no time. And whether you want to bring in a managerial transfer window, I don't know. But if you can't sign players and you're only going to get 12 weeks to turn things around, how do you do that?
Well, ask old Frank de Boer, because he was going to be Everton's new manager if Koeman didn't come to Everton, right? And thank God, I spotted the flaw in his and delivered some information to the people who count. Yeah,
thank goodness for that.
I said, you don't want that guy. He's no good. He's no good. I said, ban him, bin him, and they did.
And they did, and so have Inter Milan. We'll talk more about that. Mark, got to go. Thank you very much indeed. Mark Donaldson from ESPN there, giving us an update on the baseball and of course on the Champions League as well. This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. There will be a podcast coming out. Now, we got a tweet here from Liz, who's saying, well, some people have been saying for the last couple of days that she would like to know our thoughts about the whole Poppygate scenario and what the FA's been doing. It shows no respect for those who fought, she says. I mean, we've not particularly talked about it this week, only because it's been sort of talked about to death, really, hasn't it?
It has been talked about to death, and quite frankly, it's such an individual thing. The one I don't want to get into it because it's such a boring debate.
Yes,
because
and it happens every year.
It happens every year. It's a boring debate because on the one side you go, you've got to support the poppy, which I totally agree with. On the other side, well, you've got to have freedom of conscience, which I totally agree with. Yeah. So I'm afraid, there's no conclusions to it. All I would say is this idea that you put it on a black armband and then you put it on your shoulder. You speak to a footballer about wearing armbands; they hate wearing armbands because the armbands always slip down your arm.
Right.
Because of the shape.
They constrict it, presumably.
Well, the shape of an arm means that the muscles get bigger the further you go up your arm.
Yes.
So when you put an armband on around your bicep, usually, you find within a couple of minutes it slipped down to your elbow.
Surely it's elasticated, isn't it?
It's elasticated, but you're always pulling it back up again, and it really gets on their nerves. So,
but it seems to me, just for the sake of sort of tidying up the story, if you like, that it is in some way a reasonably good compromise that the FA have made. So they're basically saying, look, we can allow you to do it without having to completely sort of just stick two fingers up to FIFA.
I think they should say to every player who's called into the squad, first of all, I think they should ignore the FIFA directive, because this is purely an English and Scottish and British thing. Yeah. It doesn't happen anywhere else. I mean, look...
But it is a FIFA competition.
It's a FIFA competition, I know, but what I'm saying is there's all sorts of allegations now that... the Irish have been allowed to put emblems on their shirts supporting, Freedom for Ireland in 1916, all that kind of stuff, that the Syrians are in some way trying to embroider their shirts with, support for Assad and all this kind of stuff. I mean, it's all crazy stuff.
Well, it starts to get ridiculous.
Yeah, I would say that every individual footballer called up for the two squads, England, Scotland, should be asked by the FA before he joins up for the squad, do you wish to have a poppy on your shirt or not? And if he says yes, put a poppy on his shirt, like embroider it on. If not, say no, thanks.
Yeah.
It's quite simple for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it seems to be resolved reasonably satisfactorily anyway.
I thought Mrs May, the Prime Minister, speaking out as forcibly forcibly as she did in the House of Commons today, saying that she thought FIFA were outrageous to put a wholesale ban on it, was very good politicking, to be honest, although it showed signs of leadership. Now, I want to talk to you about another item in your wardrobe.
Another item in my wardrobe?
Yes.
Why?
Your jeans.
My jeans?
Yeah.
I don't really have any jeans.
You haven't jeans? No.
What do you mean, blue jeans?
Yeah.
I mean, I have a pair.
No, I'm talking about denims.
I mean, I have several pairs of kind of what you might call
chinos.
Chinos, yeah. And some which kind of go somewhere between the two. But
what about the denims?
I haven't worn denims for many a year.
No, neither have I. Now, the thing is, nobody over the age of 53 should wear denims, but the most famous denim wearer in this country is Jeremy Clarkson, who's 56.
Yes, far too old.
Yeah, exactly, far too old.
I was once told by a woman, over 40, you shouldn't wear jeans or a leather jacket.
When I was about 15... or 16 in Chester growing up, when everybody who was anybody had a pair of Levi's or Wranglers.
I used to have Fiorucci's.
Oh, no, we had Levi's or Wranglers, and we used to have fights between the Levi gang and the Wrangler gang.
Really?
You know? Yeah, you either had a
I thought you abhorred violence.
No, I do abhor violence. I used to stand on the side, really.
So you were Levi's?
I was Levi's, yeah. I had
so you didn't have a W?
No, I had the 501. No, it wasn't 501 in those days.
You would have had those then.
It was a big leather patch on the back which said Levi Strauss made these jeans,
That's
you know.
right.
And the Wranglers was a W on the back pockets, you know. But anyway, point of my story is, I
never liked Wranglers, to be honest.
No, I was always a Levi's man. The point of my story is...
By the way, 6-3 now to Chicago. They've just scored another home run.
Oh, really? Yeah. We saw a bloke walking through Chester City Centre one Saturday in a pair of jeans, and we knew he was 21 because my mate's brother had been to his 21st birthday party.
Uh-huh.
And we just all stood and pointed at him and laughed.
Why?
Because at 21 to wear jeans in those days was ludicrous. It was
Why?
They're kids' clothes.
Really?
It's kids' clothes, yeah, and you stop wearing them when you're around 18.
So you took part in a sort of ritualistic humiliation of some poor guy walking down the street?
Yes, I did, yeah.
That's not very nice.
No, I mean, he needed to be told that the social norm, he'd exceeded the social norm.
Well, I would say I wore jeans all the way up until about the age of probably 35 or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, probably.
I didn't know that. But anyway...
Well, you knew me in those days.
Sorry?
You knew me in those days.
Yeah, I don't remember you walking around in jeans.
Well,
Mind you weren't as fat and gross in those days as you are now.
Actually, I was...
you were quite
I was actually heavier.
Gross. That's true.
I was very skinny when I first went to New York, but after I'd been there a couple of years, I put on quite a lot of weight.
Yeah, because that's because you ate and drank far too much.
That's right.
It is true, yeah.
That's exactly
anyway,
what
it says here that normal pair of jeans should last you 3 years. Some people keep them 5 years. And that you're always reluctant then to throw them out because of the nature of the fabric. It means that they're the clothes or the item of clothing that most shapes to your body, if you see what I mean. You know what I mean?
Well, do you not remember buying jeans and getting in a bath?
Yeah, that's what you had to do with your Levi's. You had to put them on when you got them because they were so rigidly hard and tough, and you had to sit in the bath for an hour.
Exactly.
So that the water soaked into them and kind of soaked itself around.
It's a ridiculous idea, really.
It was a ridiculous idea, yeah. And by the way, my mum was very annoyed because a lot of dye came out of the jeans and actually marked the bath.
Once, funny enough, the first time I went skiing in Vermont,
when
I was living in America, I didn't want to invest in a whole load of skiing gear because I thought, I'm not sure if I'm going to like it.
Yeah.
So I'd only ever been once in my life when I was at school.
Yeah.
And so I wore blue jeans and a sort of anorak, right? Mm-hmm. But because I kept falling over so much, they became sodden.
Right.
With the dampness of the snow.
Yes.
And whenever I fell down and basically sort of skated down the mountain, there was this huge blue streak.
I bet it was, yeah.
It all came out of the jeans.
They did. They used to use very sort of industrial blue ink, didn't they? But anyway, the point is that sales of jeans apparently are well up around the world as the developing world, becomes more and more able to buy them.
Well,
apparently.
You see plenty of people wearing them here still. You just don't see. I mean, they don't look very good on older men. I think that's the point.
I totally agree with that.
Men.
Unless you're old Willie, what's his name, the 89-year-old American
Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Willie Nelson can get away with a lot.
Yeah, he can.
He's a multi-millionaire country music star.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Who has his own line of cannabis.
Yeah, Jaggery.
Now, how about this from Jason?
Yeah.
Who says Porky needs to know this. In the same year the Chicago Cubs last won the World Series, Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid, were killed in Bolivia.
Is that right?
108 years ago.
Is that right?
How about that?
Like I care.
Well, that makes it historic.
No, I couldn't care less.
And several people have tweeted in to say that if the Cubs actually win this, it will be better. It will be a bigger story than Leicester winning the Premier League.
Really? Yeah, but I mean, I couldn't care less. I've got no emotional tie to it whatsoever. Now then, what was I saying when the handover of the show with Andy and Jason earlier on?
I don't know. What were you saying?
1 in 5 Britons has posted a picture of their food on social media or sent it to a friend in the past month.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you do this all the time. You take pictures of everything you cook.
That's not true.
You do. And you send it out on Twitter.
I do not take pictures of everything I cook. 2
or 3 times a week, you send out a picture boasting that, I've just knocked up a frittati or something.
Frittati?
Yeah, right.
Right, well, let's see. The last time I posted a picture of something that I cooked, I'm just going back in my Twitter right now, was on the 19th of October. When I made some macaroni cheese.
Yeah, but you've been away since then. On holiday, buffoon.
No, I've been back.
What?
Why would you call me a buffoon for that?
Yeah.
I did post a couple of pictures of the food that I had when I was in Sicily, but I didn't make that.
Yes. Yeah, right? But I mean,
I posted a picture of
food, ludicrous.
the arancini, which I told you about, which was the kind of Sicilian Scotch egg, and this massive veal escalope. Did I tell you about the veal escalope?
Yeah, you told me about it a million times. Thank you very much indeed. I don't know about it anymore, thank you.
Oh, well, you never repeat your stories.
Well, excuse me, I never put pictures of my food on...
Did you see the other great picture I posted from Sicily, which was this one? The giant lemon. Because remember you talked about the giant lemon in the fall?
Yes.
And the giant jiff.
The giant jiffy, that's right,
I found, it's not jiffy, it's jiff.
Jiff, yeah, and you found a giant lemon.
Yeah.
What a surprise. Anyway, the point is that it's all about snobbery. What people are doing is they're making their dishes at home, but then they're bringing in sort of exotic, aubergines and this sort of stuff, taking their potatoes off and putting the aubergines on, taking the peas off and putting seaweed on and all this kind of nonsense, you know what I mean?
I don't know anyone that would ever do that.
Yeah, they do. They're social
the only sort
climbers.
of people that do that would be people like you, who pretend that things happen in your life that don't actually happen.
I am the least pretentious person in the world about food. Even you can admit that.
No, you are now, because I've made you tell the truth about it.
No, not at all.
Yes, I have.
I like basic food, and I'm proud that I like basic food, and I'm proud that I like roast beef and Yorkshire pudding and beans on toast and fish fingers and McDonald's hamburgers. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, but the rest of your life is punctuated by things that you say that you do that nobody ever believes whether you do or not.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Well, like feeding the ducks every morning, for example. Nobody's ever seen a picture of it.
People have seen plenty of pictures of it.
No, they haven't.
I've sent out loads and loads of pictures.
No, you sent out one picture about 5 years ago of you feeding some ducks in the middle of the day.
No, not
first thing in the morning.
That is not true, but I'm not going to take a picture every morning. It'll traumatise the ducks. Now,
as if they're not traumatised enough already by you showing up.
And do you know what people do when they show you the pictures of their food? They replace peas or cabbage with seaweed. They also have a bottle of cactus water or coconut flower juice.
Oh, yeah.
No, sorry, the coconut flour goes on the food. That's right, it's not juice. Cactus water, a bottle of cactus water, and they say the food is sprinkled with coconut flour.
Well, say, for example, that you put seaweed on a plate.
Yeah.
And what else would be on that plate, then?
Hey?
What else would we put on the plate?
Well, in Chinese restaurants, they just give you a plate of seaweed to eat, don't
You're
they?
suggesting that people are eating, presumably, roast dinners, taking the peas off and putting seaweed on.
Yes, that's right, yes.
So they're making out they're having roast beef and seaweed.
And buckwheat as well.
What would be the point of that?
Well, because they're snobs and they want to make out that... Oh, aubergines. Aubergines are put on the plates in their place as well. How about this? Lasagna. Oh, no, it's pasta in lasagna.
Lasagna?
They put pasta in lasagna. Yeah. What's your problem?
It's lasagna.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking
lasagna.
about. Don't even worry about it. You see, you're an idiot.
You're like the Hyacinth Bouquet of Talk Sport.
Not at all.
This is Talk Sport.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
Look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. How did our eyes get so red? And what the hell is on Joey's head? This is where I grew up. I think the president fixed it up.
Still 6-3 to the Cubs, bottom of the 6th inning. There are 9 innings, of course, unless it goes into extra innings. But it's going to be a very, very exciting game, I can tell you. Robbie says this: Porky, the fashion king of Talk Sport. You couldn't tell because he wears the same shirt 24/7. Hashtag plank.
Yeah, very funny indeed. Listen, talking about food, by the way, did you know that we're all now eating much, much less cereal than we ever have?
Funnily enough, I'd had some cereal just before I came out.
Really?
Yeah.
What sort of cereal?
I had, I think they're crunchy nut cornflakes.
Crunchy nut cornflakes.
But I mixed them with some porridge oats, and I had a few blueberries with them.
Scott's porridge oats.
Scott's, the only kind.
Hey, quite right,
but
laddie.
not cooked though. Just
not cooked,
cold porridge oats with a few cornflakes and some blueberries.
Yeah.
Very healthy, that.
Well, apparently more and more people are getting like this aversion to corn and wheat and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
What, sort of gluten.
Well, I don't know, but it says
intolerance or whatever.
It says that people have given up now cereal to go on to the smoothies. You know.
Smoothies?
Yeah.
The smoothies haven't been in for years.
More and more of us are opting for quicker breakfast.
Where do you get all this rubbish?
From one of my journals. This is from the Health and Food Journal. And it says more and more of us are opting for quicker breakfast because we don't have enough time to sit down to a bowl of shredded wheat.
Uh-huh.
Kellogg's has suffered its 7th successive drop in quarterly sales in the 3 months to the end of October. It makes cornflakes, crunchy nut, which you had.
Yes, they're very nice, those. I like those.
And Cocoa Pops. And it said its decline across Europe had been driven by lower sales in the challenging UK market.
Is it possibly because children are eating less cereal?
Well, it says, once a fixture of most families' morning routines, cereal has fallen out of favour in many homes. And it is increasingly being shunned in favour of healthier and quicker alternatives, such as fruit or smoothies.
Yes. Well, why don't you have fruit with the cereal? What do you have in the mornings for cereal?
What?
Do you have cereal in the morning?
No.
Not ever?
Never.
Why are you staring off into space?
I'm just thinking, what I do have, I don't know if it's cereal or not, I have a huge bowl. What's your problem?
I'm just waiting. I can't imagine what you're going to say.
Rice Krispies.
Well, that's cereal.
Bowl. Well, it's not.
Of course it is. What do you think it is?
What I didn't realise for about 3 decades is that Rice Krispies are actually made of rice.
They're still cereal.
No, they're not.
What is it then?
Rice.
It's not rice.
It is. It's not wheat.
Rice Krispies are cereal.
No, it's not. This is the whole point. They're made of rice. They're not made of wheat. You see what I mean?
Do they go snap, crackle, pop still?
They do, indeed. But they...
Do you put your ear to them and listen when you put the milk in?
No, you idiot. Of course I don't. But what I'm saying is, I did find at one time when I was eating Weetabix that I was, finding... a bit like, what do cows get when they eat too many turnips?
What?
You know when a cow eats too many turnips? No, honestly, it's true.
I didn't know cows ate turnips.
No, they do. They eat turnips and they get like... the stomach gets like bloated and full of turnips.
They start emitting methane.
Well, I don't want to get into that, but I mean, they actually, they damage their sort of digestive system. And what's your problem?
Rice Krispies. It says here, Rice Krispies is a breakfast cereal marketed by Kellogg's.
Yes.
That's it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, but
it's a breakfast cereal.
Yeah, I know, but it's not made of wheat. That's what I'm saying. It's made of rice.
Well, so what? It's still a cereal.
It's not. It's not, honestly. It's not. It's not a cereal that can be classified along cornflakes, Weetabix, Frosties,
well,
because
it's not rice, is it?
It's not wheat.
You don't go to the supermarket and go to the rice section, and there they have the basmati rice, the short grain rice, the paella rice, the bomba rice.
Yeah.
You know, all the other kinds of long grain and short grain rice, and then Rice Krispies. No. The Rice Krispies are in the cereal section.
Well, they are, but they're not technically cereal. That's all I'm saying.
That's rubbish.
No, it's not rubbish. It's true. Why do you think they're called Rice Krispies? Why aren't they called Wheat Krispies?
Well, I don't care.
Because they're made of rice.
I don't care.
See?
Well, shredded wheat presumably is made of wheat.
Yeah.
Weetabix presumably is made of wheat.
Yeah, but that's why they're called wheat.
Is cornflakes made of corn?
It is, yes.
Really?
Yes. And that's why Rice Krispies is made of rice, so it's not a cereal. But anyway, it says here, now, I have read a report by the well-known breakfast cereal expert.
What's his name?
Dr.
Pat Rice.
Pat Rice, you idiot. He's a football coach. No, his name is Dr. Dimitrios Zavavarikos, who's a... What is your problem?
Greek.
Well, I don't know. Does it matter?
Greek.
Does it matter?
Well, I don't think they eat much cereal in Greece, to be
He's
honest.
a psychologist at the University College of London, and what he says is the younger population will replace cereals with smoothies, fresh fruit and yoghurt. A lot of individuals only spend 5 or 6 minutes on breakfast and are looking for a quicker solution. They will have something out of a packet.
Well, like cereal.
No, it says here they'll have something out of a packet, so nothing needs to be cleaned afterwards.
Do you ever buy those? Do you know what you can buy now? And you may have seen these because it's the sort of thing you would buy in a garage.
Yes.
You can buy like cereal and milk together in a little,
a
little pouch.
Seen that? Horrible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ghastly.
Well, I mean, it's quite. I see people.
Gruesome.
I see people eating it.
Where do they eat it?
Well, you see people eating it on the tube sometimes.
Oh, how disgusting. Should ban all food on public transport. There was a guy the other night, right, I was going home on a train. We'd been doing something during the day.
Yeah.
And this man came on with a huge plastic bag full of wasabi. Is it wasabi?
Wasabi, yeah.
Now, this is Japanese food, isn't it?
Well, it's sort of nuts, basically, aren't they? Wasabi nuts.
I don't know, but they're
spicy sort of Japanese.
They are incredibly pungent.
Yes,
right?
they are, yeah.
Right. So this guy gets on, I'm not joking, and he's carrying it like it's his takeaway food, seriously. And he then sits down and proceeds to eat it for the next 25 minutes.
Is this on a tube or on a train?
This is on a train.
All right.
This is on a train going down to Stockbroker Belt.
Okay.
The pungency of what it was revolting. It was disgusting.
Well, it's not as bad as when you get one of those late trains and people are eating kebabs and all sorts
Oh,
of
no,
things.
no, this was honestly, it's disgusting. It was a packed train as well. He had no manners. He had no consideration for his fellow traveller.
Yeah.
He had no self-awareness of the fact that everybody's looking at him thinking, you are a first-rank jerk, we hate you, and you're a filthy peasant individual who should go and take his smelly wasabi food. In fact, I'm
surprised you didn't accost him about it.
I nearly did. I nearly said, you're committing social crime here and you should get off at the next station.
No.
Eat your wasabi food, pal, and then get a train later because you are a disgusting individual and what you're doing is extremely antisocial.
Well, some people
was.
Well, sometimes the only time you can eat something if you're very hungry and you've been working a lot is on a train.
Well, wait until you should eat it somewhere else and then get on the train, but you shouldn't use trains as dining cars, particularly with pungent food, which upsets people. It upset me, and I...
But you're very easily upset.
I'm not easily upset, but I just think his lack of consideration for fellow passengers was, it was difficult to behold, I'm telling you.
Okay.
Difficult. Yeah.
Now, here's an interesting fact about Rice Krispies. Did you know that the Rolling Stones recorded a short song for a Rice Krispies television advert in 1963?
I didn't know that, no.
I wonder if we could find that.
The only people who make Rice Krispies are Kellogg's, I think.
Well, Kellogg's do. Well, it's a brand name.
Yeah, exactly. So,
I mean, you can buy, for example, you go into any supermarket, you can buy, something similar to every single cereal made by Kellogg's, but it's got to be called something else.
Yeah, I suppose that what they would have thought of, the marketing men in those days, because that's sort of the Mad Men era, isn't it, really? Early 60s, yeah?
Yeah, I guess it would be, yeah. Madison Avenue, yeah.
And it would have thought, what is it? No, what's the sales slogan for Rice Krispies? Oh, I know, it's Snap, Crackle and Pop. And what is the biggest industry in the world at the moment? It's pop groups,
yes,
you know what I mean?
so.
And then they would have got Mick Jagger to prance around on stage, I want to be your Rice Crisp, baby. I want to be your rice. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll see whether that was it. I suspect it wasn't quite like that.
Yeah.
Did you ever buy those variety packs?
No, because I don't like 6 out of 8 of them.
Why not?
Well, because I just don't like them. They're like those sugar
They usually have Rice
pops and all
Krispies
that.
in them.
They usually have Rice Krispies in them,
They usually have Rice Krispies Frosties.
Frosties, yeah.
Usually have a cornflakes, sometimes an all bran.
Yeah, an all bran.
What's that made from?
It's made from bran.
Bran.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's bran, there's rice, there's wheat, there's corn. All of these are described as cereals, as a collective noun.
Yeah, well...
That's why it's cereal.
I can get no bowl of Krispies.
Unfortunately, you were never working in the advertising business.
Rice Krispies, but I try. I'm trying to think of how they could have done a song about Rice Krispies, a Rice Krispie commercial.
Well, it might not have been anything with Rice Krispies in it. It might have just been a sort of a jingle.
This could be Rice Krispies. This could be Rice Krispies. Maybe my Krispies. I'm just trying to think how they would have done the advert.
You could have had John Lennon doing one. So this is Krispies.
You told me it was the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, no, I'm just sort of.
Well, I'm just trying to work out
enlarging it. Now, Matt says this. Please ask Porky who Frank de Boer is. Is he the brother of Chris?
No, you idiot.
Yeah, but it's not pronounced de Boer, is it?
It is.
It's de Boer.
Well, de Boer,
De Boer.
It's all... The Dutch influence in South Africa was all about the Boers, wasn't it?
It was indeed, the Boer War.
The Boer War, the Boers. When I was there once in South Africa, we went to this wine place, but it wasn't Stellenbosch, it was on north-south-east, it was like the West Cape. Uh-huh. And the architecture was like Amsterdam, honestly. The houses there...
Lots of canals, you mean?
No, lots of buildings which looked like those sort of canal side buildings in Amsterdam, places like that, without the canals. Yeah. Not a lot of canals actually in South Africa. Lots of rivers.
Matt says this. I'm pretty sure I've heard Mike Parry say on air previously that he has Honey Monster sugar puffs for breakfast.
Never eaten them. I think they do your teeth in, and anyway, I just think they look revoltingly sort of over-sugared, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, I don't mind a bit of sugar on some foods, but
Well, how much sugar do you think's in Rice Krispies?
Not a lot.
Really?
No, it doesn't look like a lot to me.
It doesn't look like a lot?
No.
Here's the ingredients. Rice, sugar, salt, malt flavouring, iron, ascorbic acid, alpha-tocopherol acetate, niacinamide, vitamin A palmitate, pyridoxine hydrochloride, riboflavin, thiamine hydrochloride, folic acid, vitamin B12 and vitamin D.
Yeah, that's the most boring list of ingredients you've ever read out on this show.
It doesn't sound very very natural to me.
I mean, look, potatoes have sugar and salt in them. Bread has sugar and salt in them.
Well, bread is not a potato. It doesn't grow, does it?
Everything that's manufactured in this country,
potatoes
food-wise,
are not manufactured.
Has sugar and salt in them.
You take potatoes out of the ground.
No, I get tins of Smash. You don't get them out of the ground.
I thought they came in a packet.
They do, or like a tub. A tub.
A tub.
Yeah.
Well, that's not potato. That's a potato product.
Where do you think it comes from originally?
America.
No, you idiot. It comes from... what they do is they get a potato and they get a cheese grater and they do all this and they put it in a tub or a packet.
That's not what they do.
Of course they do.
It's reconstituted, dried up essence of potato.
Yeah, I haven't got a clue what you're talking about.
Really? This is Talk Sport.
Don't phone your mother. Phone Talk Sport. Football on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Atletico Radio.
Talk Sport.
He was working through college on my grandpa's farm. I was thirsting for knowledge, and he had a car. Yeah, I was caught somewhere between a woman and a child. One restless summer we found love growing wild on the banks of the river on a well-beaten path. It's funny how those memories, they last like strawberry wine.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Porkyvision coming up a little bit later on. Still 6-3 in the World Series Game 7, top of the 7th inning.
Oh, sorry.
Very exciting.
Oh, I feel a bit tired, sorry.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. You don't get enough sleep. Lisa Daly is here. She's our relationship expert, of course, on this show.
Excellent.
And we love her very much. And what we'd like to do, Lisa, is ask you, first of all, whether you're watching the World Series.
I'm not watching the World Series.
No, well, neither am I, so...
I was going to say, thank goodness I have you guys to give me the updates on the score.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm not watching either, Lisa, so don't worry about it. You know, it's not a problem. Not a problem.
Well, you're not one of the 35-odd million who are watching it. Well, anyway, let's talk about more important things in that case, and which is an interesting study by Richard Breibelskas in his new book, How Men Age. And he's basically saying that pudgy older fathers not only live longer, but are actually more attractive to the opposite sex. What do you make of it?
Well, I think this is really interesting. I mean, when you talk about pudgy, I always think about sort of, belly fat.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of medical studies over the years that have shown that people who have more belly fat are more likely to have things like stroke, heart attack, et cetera, which are also associated with high levels of testosterone. So it was surprising to me that pudgier fathers live longer, but it was not surprising to me at all that pudgier fathers are more attractive to women.
So can you explain why that is?
Well, I can. One of the things I think that's really interesting is that women are always attracted to men that they sort of consider to be family guys. So if you think about like if a guy holds a baby, that all of a sudden, there's just no greater aphrodisiac than a man holding a baby. And it's the same sort of thing. If you have that sort of dad bod, or you're looking like you're focused on other things, it makes sense. Whereas if you're really focused on working out and your body, you're going to be women are going to perceive you to be more likely to be messing around.
And also more of a narcissist as well, right?
Absolutely more of a narcissist. Well, and it's really funny, too, is that the reason that this sort of pudge happens when guys get a little older is that their testosterone levels drop. And one of the things that's fascinating about that is that higher levels of testosterone are rated higher for infidelity. And so the higher your testosterone, the more likely you are to cheat on your partner. So it's interesting that women are attracted to guys who have lower testosterone.
Lisa, I think there's another reason here, and that is that, this pudgy older father syndrome, we're normally talking here about them being more attractive to women not of the same age, but younger women. And it's all about the sugar daddy syndrome. Younger women look at a guy with a bit of, extra girth around his belly and say, that man's wealthy. That man's got a gold watch on his wrist. That guy's just driven here in a very nice car. And women are, generally speaking, attracted to wealthier men.
You're saying that women are shallow?
I'm not saying that women are shallow. I'm saying women are sensible, and that they see a guy of mature years, think he's got a few bob, a bit more money. He will treat me more like a lady than that jerk who's the same age as me has been treating me for the last 12 months.
There is some truth to that.
Thank
for some
you.
women. Obviously, you're welcome, but not. I wouldn't say the majority
work for you, though,
of
is
women, or even generally speaking. I mean, there are just as there are men who only want to date 20-year-olds, and I think you know who you're talking about. Yeah, just as there are only guys who only want to date 20-year-olds or only girls with gigantic breasts. Certainly, there are women who only want to date guys who are wealthy.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my mom used to say something about that. She said, if you marry a guy for his money, you are going to earn it every single day. It's better to make your own.
Well, yes, it is better to make your own, but a lot of women are talentless. I mean, no. I'm a lot of men.
An outrageous thing to say.
Hang on, a lot of men are talentless.
You see, this is how you get the truth out of Mr. Parry. A lot of women are talentless.
But it's true, and a lot of men are talentless. Now, Lisa, what I'm saying is, you are, a go-getting lady. You've got your own business. You're an expert in your field and all that kind of stuff. But a lot of women do take the option of, I'll just find a rich guy to marry. Like a lot of men, by the way, a lot of men take the option just to be deadbeat dads. I mean, it happens on both sides of the sexual compass. But some women definitely,
sexual compass.
Yeah, some women definitely see a rich sugar daddy as a way out in life.
Yes, certainly some women do say that.
you.
I don't think they're very bright, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely they do. And it's funny if you think about this idea that this sort of, pudgy dad bod guy is the guy that all these women are attracted to. It is really fascinating because it completely goes against everything that we think we know about what makes people attractive.
And is the professor?
Really,
I mean, I don't know if you've had a chance to read his book. I haven't. I've just read sort of some of the extracts from it. But is the professor saying that it's very much a sort of a biological thing, whereby it's not a sort of a life choice, if you like. It's not a lifestyle choice. It's that women find these men attractive because of what they've achieved or because of the fact they've had kids and all of that.
Well, there is truth to that, and it's just like people in general will find heavier people more attractive when the economy is bad. I mean, there are all sorts of things. We are, sort of programmed by Mother Nature to do whatever we can to continue our species, and so whatever it is, we seek out the healthiest mate we possibly can. So if you have someone who is going to stick around to raise the kids, if you have someone who's well established in his career, if you have someone who's genetically healthy, obviously that's going to be a more appealing mate than someone who's not.
This is very bad news for Mr. Parry here.
It's not bad news at all.
Only 1/3 of his heart works, and he's probably about 5 years left in him till he pegs out.
That's very nice, isn't it? Wanting your fellow worker dead. I mean, that's not it at all.
I'm just telling the truth. That's all.
You're not telling the
It's
truth.
be 5 good years, so you got to make the best of the 5 really good years.
Well, don't worry. I've had 50-odd very good years so far, Lisa. Thank you very much indeed. 50-odd.
What happened to the others then? The bad ones?
Don't be ridiculous, you blockhead.
Well, those are just okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry we're dealing with a blockhead here, Lisa, but I mean, that's the way he is. You see, he is a podgy, middle-aged man.
Father.
The other guy you're talking to. And a father as well, yeah.
Well, I'm the guy in this study.
Sorry?
I'm sure you're very excited to find out that you're a sex god.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of knew that anyway.
It's very exciting. Open up that book and go, holy smokes, this is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah, Lisa.
Well, this explains a lot, basically.
Lisa, I've known this man for 30 years. Sex god is not the word. What about a man with the morals of an alley cat chasing round after younger women?
That's
what
not
about
true.
that? What about that?
No, they chase me. I don't chase them.
Oh, they chase him. Oh, that's an advantageous position to be in. Oh, sorry, got to move quickly. There's all these young ladies running down the street after me. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, he lives in a fantasy world, Lisa. Many of us do, but he does.
Many of us do,
but he does in particular.
Is that the understatement of the week?
Yeah, believe me. Yeah.
Let me ask you one more quick question, because the other fantastic kind of, I suppose, spectator sport over there at the moment is Trump v Clinton.
Oh my gosh!
What's your take on that? Because you've only got a few days left now to make up your mind.
Right. Well, I have already made up my mind. I didn't have much problem with that at all. But it is really fascinating to me. We have never had an election that has been so much like a reality television show.
Yes.
I mean, there's just sex and scandal and foul language and, you name it, it's out there. So it's really surprising, I think, how disturbing everything has gotten. But what's really fascinating to me is that there is almost half of the country that is willing to vote for a lunatic, and that's terrifying to me. So I may be moving over to where you guys are pretty soon.
Yeah.
It's just insane here, and I think anybody who's followed this at all just can't even believe it. The guy's a reality TV star, so how he's gotten this far is insane.
Well, considering how many women over here are talentless, Lisa, if you do come here, I'm sure you'll do very well. Mr. Parry, I'm sure, will be more than happy to look after you.
Lisa...
Oh, isn't that sweet?
Lisa, if you came to our country, you'd be very welcome. We need an import of, talent and glamour. So you'd be very welcome.
You guys are the best.
That's great.
Lisa, thank you very much indeed. Lisa Daly, who is, of course, our relationship expert, always very helpful, always very full of good advice for any number of different issues.
Yes.
We've got lots more coming up, of course. Still 6-3, bottom of the 7th.
Didn't half charm Lisa, didn't I, eh?
Well, did you think so?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you send her a note? I'm sure she really liked that women are talentless line. You are in many ways the Donald Trump.
That was a generalisation, and I qualified that by saying a lot of men are talentless as well.
Yeah, you might as well have called her Miss Piggy.
No.
This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Don't you ever stop being dandy, showing me your handsome. Don't you ever stop being dandy, showing me your handsome. Prince Charming, ridicule is nothing to be scared of. Don't you
Which I presume is not being played in honour of you after that statement about women being talentless.
No,
Prince Charming.
Not at all, Prince Charming. No, I tell you what, that was Adamant, right?
It was.
And it's Adamant's 67th birthday
Is
today.
it really?
67, can you believe it?
My goodness me.
But I mean, the reason I've always been fascinated by Adamant is I think that his records were the worst pop records I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh, they were dreadful. I mean, the lyrics were banal and simplistic and dreadful.
I don't think they were that bad.
What, you think words like Prince Charming, Prince Charming, Prince Charming.
Pretty cute, and
we
don't even know the words.
Well, I know, but they're pathetic. I didn't bother remembering them.
So if you didn't bother remembering them, how can you say they're pathetic?
Because they are pathetic. What about, stand and deliver?
Yeah.
And a picture
your
of Adamant.
Money or your life.
Yeah, that's right. A picture of Adamant on a horse with a gun. I mean, it was all
I'd have to say,
pathetic.
Ant Music probably wasn't one of his greatest
and
lyrics.
Music, music. I mean, it was all pathetic stuff.
Yeah, but it was of its time. I mean, it was all the new romantic era. The videos were actually quite entertaining. He always had his tongue firmly in his cheek, and I thought he was great.
He actually recognised for the first time, he was one of the first stars to recognise the value of video because MTV had just opened up and he thought that's the way
I think he was before MTV, actually.
No, he wasn't.
I think he was.
No, he wasn't. MTV...
Well, MTV started in the sort of very early 80s, right?
Early
and
80s.
Adamant was around the late 70s, wasn't he?
Was he?
I would have thought so.
Well, if he's 67 now and he was only good at 25 or 27, that was 40 years ago. And 40 years ago was 76,
That's
right?
So that was when he kind of came around.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he would have done. Yeah, okay. But he still started to recognise the value of
no, he did. That was the beginning of the sort of the proper pop video.
That's right, yeah.
I would say.
But anyway, later in life, he kind of went off the rails a bit, didn't he?
He was found with a starting pistol in a pub in Hampstead, wasn't he? Waving it around.
Well, I think what happened was he was sitting outside a pub, and I think that was in Hampstead, and somebody recognised him as Adamant and started taking the mickey out of him for being bald and fat and not the glamorous figure that Adamant had been, during his pop career. So as I read the report, and this is what was reported. He went away and got a brick and came back through under the pub, apparently.
Oh, right. No, I thought it was an incident with a handgun.
There was an incident with a handgun as well, or something like that. But he didn't even recently make some sort of a comeback into the music world. I think he did.
Not sure about that.
Yeah, but I thought, painting all that rubbish on his face and all that kind of stuff. I just thought his songs were so dreadful.
I think you're missing the point of the whole new romantic movement.
Well,
the new romantic movement was not just about music. It was about art. It was about style. It was about fashion.
It was
Spandau Ballet. What did you think of them?
It's all a fallacy.
What did you think of Spandau Ballet?
Spandau Ballet. It was that the guy who went on to play the Cray Twins.
Huh?
Yeah, that was the guy who played...
the Crays, yeah.
Yeah, what was the name?
What, the people from Spandau Ballet?
Yes.
Never mind what their names
Martin
were.
Kemp.
Yeah, it was
Martin Kemp.
Martin Kemp and his brother.
And his brother, that's right.
But there was Spandau Ballet.
Yeah,
there
but
was
they made
ABC,
gold, didn't they?
Shoot a golden arrow through my heart.
Didn't they make gold?
They made gold, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was a good record, you know.
You like that?
Gold.
Well, they were the same. They had the silly haircuts and the oversized trousers.
I just thought the Adamant records were so poor, you know. I mean, I could have written better records than them.
I very much doubt that.
Honestly. And
what about A Teardrop Explodes? What did you make of them? Remember them?
No.
Don't remember that band?
No, I don't.
Or the Comsat Angels?
Comsat Angels, don't.
No.
They were in.
What about The Cure?
The Cure, I kind of remember The Cure, but I can't remember their songs. But in my disco era, so this was all at the same time.
Yeah, well, see, the disco era would have been disco music, which was not what they were doing. They were kind of rebelling against that.
These guys that knocked around in Chester, who were actually car mechanics, so they always looked like grease monkeys. You know what I mean? But they scrubbed themselves up at night and came into town, a bit like John Travolta did in Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah.
And they would actually save all their money for a month, you know, from their car mechanic's job, and then get on a train, go to London, to the King's Road, and come back with all these incredible, like, clothes which didn't look like clothes. You know, they were
it's called fashion, isn't it?
You know, like wrap-round, you know, jackets that had buttons on the shoulder and all this kind of stuff. And
well, that was the new romantic era.
And we're getting their hair done the same way, actually, funny enough, as Martin Kemp.
What about the Human League? Remember them?
Human League, I remember a bit, yeah.
And the guy with the hair that came down really long on one side and very short on the other.
That was Marilyn, wasn't it?
No.
The guy called Marilyn.
No, that was Boy George's girlfriend.
Oh, was it? Okay,
boyfriend.
Boyfriend, yeah. But anyway, now listen, the other thing that happened on this very day, which I think is so fascinating because it resonates enormously with me and Sandra. Sandra, of course, being an Australian correspondent, who will be with us again very shortly.
Yes, I hope so, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. On this day in 1992, Bill Clinton won the election.
Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, against George Bush, Senior.
Was this day?
It was this day, yeah.
Why would it not be next week?
I don't know, but it was this day. So, you know, maybe they don't have fixed dates for the election.
I thought it was always like the second Tuesday in November.
Well, maybe it was the second Tuesday in November, but it fell, you know, at a time that was... It was definitely this day.
What, like on the 7th or the 5th?
Well,
yeah.
4th? It
couldn't be the second Tuesday in November then, could it?
No, the earliest it could be is the 8th, right?
That's what I mean. That's what it is this week.
Yeah, OK. Well, I'm telling you, it happened on this day, you know.
Right.
I'm telling you, Jimmy.
Are you sure about Adamant's birthday, by the way?
Yeah.
Are you sure he's 67?
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
Hang on, no. Well, he could be 62. No, he could be 62. That's right, yeah. I think
Well, he added 5 years to his life.
Stand and deliver. Yeah, he is 62, actually. Just remembered. No, but I remember being down in Little Rock. OK?
Yeah.
When the results started coming in, it became obvious that Bill Clinton was going to win the election, and George Bush Senior, of course, had thrown it away. He dismissed this, you know, sort of southern upstart, Bill Clinton, the governor of Arkansas, as an upstart who had nothing to contribute to the political
debate. Did they not have,
debate.
In those days, before Clinton emerged, they had something called the Six-Pack, didn't they? There was like 6 candidates who were all kind of pretty much the same.
That's right,
Nobody knew too much about any of them.
That's right.
And suddenly Clinton sort of emerged.
He did.
Which was really, I think, quite a lot to do with his political nous and Hillary's doing.
Yeah.
You know, organising people to make sure that they voted for him instead of anybody else.
Well, also his oratory. He was a great orator.
Yeah.
He would step forward and say very sincerely, this country's got a moral dilemma which I got to solve, you know, and all this kind of stuff.
Solve it very well, did he?
No, people didn't know that he. I mean, when I remember doing the election, and we were down in Little Rock, right, and then when the inauguration happened in the January in Washington D.C., I was in the press club with Ross. Remember, he used to be the Express correspondent. Ross Mark.
Yeah. He was a New Zealander, wasn't he?
Ross was an Australian, actually.
Was he?
Yeah, but he'd been in like DC for 35 years. But I think
completely pickled.
Well, the grip of the grape had got him by this time, and he was talking out to drivel and rubbish. You know, so I've
got to read this out without interrupting you. From Def, he said, Porky remembers the Human League. He was relegated from it in 1984.
That's a bit harsh.
I think that's a tweet of the night.
Bit harsh. But no, talking to, I remember remember talking to Ross, who was completely, rocking around in the press room, because they were all the, journalistic pack there were all Democrats, all liberals and all that kind of stuff.
Journalists, I mean, they've done this study about journalists.
Yeah.
You know how Trump's always going on about, journalists are the most corrupt people in America. He's all constantly attacking them. People now turning up at Trump rallies and pointing at the journalists and making the slit throat thing. Because, come the revolution, they're all going to put them up against the wall.
That's right.
But they did a study, which is completely different from this country, where something like 90% of journalists in America have already said that they're voting for Hillary Clinton.
I know, that's unbelievable, isn't it? But anyway, so they're all rocking around in can they? And I remember us, with his sort of, broken Australian accent.
He was quite a sort of dry character.
Yeah, he was, Oh, let me tell you, one thing I know about Bill Clinton, because they'd got to know this guy during the election campaign days. He won't stand for any bullies. I like bullying. And then, of course, it emerged later that not only was he bullying women, he was kind of, having very, very dubious relationships with dozens of them, if
and
not
many
hundreds,
of them,
throughout his life. But no, I remember being in Little Rock for a few days before the election. And you could have easy access to Bill Clinton, no problem at all. You go around the governor's mansion, you could knock on a door, walk in. And then it became clear he was going to win.
Yeah.
And 3 days before the election, it completely changed. The Secret Service moved in and they just locked down the whole area. And that was it. Right. Never saw him again. So did
you get a big interview with him then before that happened?
Loads. But the problem was the dingbats who were running the Daily Express in those days, I kept saying, this guy, I told him a month or 6 weeks before, because I'd been on the campaign trail. I said, this guy's going to win the election, Ho, 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 said John Ellison, the assistant editor in charge of foreign affairs. Ho, ho,
well, who
ho.
did he think was going to win? Bush?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, he'd met Bush, by the way. He'd met George H. Bush, Michael, it's good of you to bring your knowledge to this, but I think you'll find that George H. Bush will be the incumbent in the White House for many years more, I said, oh, really?
Well, it could only have been another 4.
Well, exactly, I said, how come he's not gone out and campaigned? He said he's so far ahead, he's got no need to. In fact, it's because George H. Bush didn't go out and campaign. He didn't go out on the road at all.
Have you seen the latest polls in the States, by the way? I mean, it's all getting very close.
46, I saw.
Something like that. Yeah. And he's now being predicted, Trump, to win Florida, Arizona.
If he wins Florida, he's got a huge chance.
Probably Ohio.
Yeah.
I was reading a piece today that said that it's still going to be very difficult for him, even if he wins all 3 of those states.
Sure.
He's still got to do more.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder if we'll get down to what happened when George W. Bush got in the first time against Al Gore.
Yeah, and they declared the wrong winner.
Well, not only did they declare the wrong winner, but they didn't declare any winner for about 3 weeks after the election.
Well, that was because of the hanging chads.
Exactly, the hanging chads.
Because Florida got messed up.
And counting and recounting and then counting again.
I think, if it's that close, it will, of course, go on for a long time.
Exactly.
And there is suggestions from Trump's people that if it does result in him losing, that he will challenge it because he will believe that it was rigged.
That's what he says.
But, we'll be covering it, of course, live right here on TalkSport next Tuesday night.
We certainly
will.
All
the way through the night from 1 until 6 in the morning.
Yes, sirree!
How about this from somebody who doesn't give a name, actually? He's saying it was a starter motor, Porky, not a brick. Oh, it's from Phil, actually.
Oh, yeah. What? He chucked a starter motor through the window of a pub?
I think so,
Oh, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. I thought it was a brick. Yeah. How stupid of me not to know that,
yes, of course.
He had a starter motor in his pocket, not a brick.
And Are You the Farmer, who's also known as Harry, basically says, he's just quoting Adamant's song, I'm the dandy highwayman you're too scared to mention. I spend my cash on looking flash and grabbing your attention.
Yeah.
That's quite a good lyric.
It's not.
What's wrong with it?
It's a fairy tale. It's rhyme. It's nonsense.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, here's another one from Harry. He says, I don't think there's anything funnier than Porky trying to tell old MG what's in food and what's not.
Yeah.
More, please.
Sorry, I'm only looking at the ingredients, Sorry if they've been written in, Cantonese or something.
Lord Rallo, who knew Rice Krispies would be the thing to push Porky over the edge? He's completely lost the plot.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
I have not.
Anyway, we got lots more coming up, including Porkyvision. This is TalkSport. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. We are in Liverpool, of course, at the O2 Academy on Friday night. We've got to shoot up there on Friday afternoon after we do the show.
That's a sold-out show, isn't it?
I think there might be a few tickets left.
Like half a dozen, I think.
Like a handful, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the O2 put out a thing yesterday saying it was pretty much sold out.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
It's going to be a great night, I think, in Liverpool.
It will be a great
night. A bit of a homecoming for you, I suppose.
Well, not really, because I'm not a Scouser, as I try to point out to people all the time. I'm from Chester, but obviously I've been going to Liverpool for the last 50 years
but your
because
accent
I support
is
Everton.
Sort of a mix of Liverpudlian and...
Not really.
I mean, when I first met you, I thought you were from Birmingham.
Well, a lot of people do. I don't know why. I suppose it's because I worked in Birmingham for 2.5 years, but I never meant to take on a sort of, West Midlands accent or anything like that. Now, there's some very good news, and that is it's going to get colder.
Well, it's already very cold. I left Sussex tonight, and it was 3 degrees.
Apparently, there is going to be... there's going to be an unusual behaviour in the stratosphere over the Arctic. Okay?
What?
There's going to be unusual behaviour in the stratosphere over the Arctic.
What sort of unusual behaviour?
Well, what happens is that at this time of the year, intensely cold air is about to become trapped over the Arctic in a giant whirlpool called the polar vortex.
Oh, I've heard of the polar vortex, actually. Okay. I think we've had that before.
Now, the polar vortex gets imprisoned by jet winds swirling around the edge of the Arctic at 70 miles an hour. And
so it's not much good if you're in the Arctic, then. It'll be pretty horrible.
Eh? It'd be horrible, yeah.
It won't be nice.
Literally, you'd be facing like 70 mile an hour blizzards if you're in the Arctic at the moment. And the stratospheric winds are only about half of their normal speed, and that means that the polar vortex then escapes because it's kept in this sort of whirlwind above the Arctic. But if the stratospheric winds are only half their normal speed, then the polar vortex and jet stream, which keep in the coldest air in the Arctic, break down. The Arctic is warming twice as fast as mid-latitude, and the temperature difference narrows. The vortex weakens, allowing colder air to seep down further south to where Britain is. Do you understand?
So that's how it's going to affect Britain.
That's how it's going to affect Britain.
But it'll be coming from the north, won't it? So it'll affect Scotland first, then the north of England, then the Midlands,
very
and
much
then the
so.
southeast. Because, I mean, every time you read these reports about we're going to have this terrible winter, it always says there's going to be terrible snow up in the north of England and some pretty bad weather in Scotland. But by the time you get down to the southeast, there's not going to be any snow at all.
Well,
I'd like there to be snow this year.
I would like there to be.
You wouldn't be able to go anywhere in your car, whereas I would.
That'd be ridiculous.
Well, mine's an all-wheel drive, you see.
Yeah, okay, but I mean...
Yours isn't.
Yeah, mine's not designed to drive around, fields to get to my country hovel. It's designed for
but it's
modern,
it's also not designed
fast,
to drive
sleek
roads in slippery and wet and slushy conditions.
I'm not going to rise to that. Now, experts say that this has led to a split of the polar vortex from a circle into a dumbbell shape, okay?
How coincidental is that?
Yes, into a dumbbell shape, displacing the frigid... what's known as the frigid Arctic stratospheric winds, which blow down across northern Europe and Asia, okay?
Asia?
Yeah. This leads in turn to... this feeds down into our weather.
Well, when is this going to happen?
It's going to happen in the next couple of days.
Next couple of days?
Yeah. And
Are you sure?
I'm certain. I'm reading from my meteorological reports,
I'm going to look at my app, right, to see what the weather says.
And it points to a higher risk of cold snaps between now and Christmas. Okay?
Well, that's not the next couple of days.
Well, it's going to start the next couple of days, I can tell you that, okay?
Currently 1 degree in Hastings.
So what did you say, sorry?
It's currently 1 degree in Hastings.
Well, there you go.
Tomorrow,
there you go. So it's proof already.
No, it's not. Tomorrow it's going to be 12. So it's not getting any colder, it's actually getting hotter.
Ah, yeah, but you have to work it out on coldest and warmest points of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get that. But
the coldest is going to be 0 in some places.
Yeah, but if it was actually getting colder during the day, it would be 0 during the day. It would be 0 during the day, wouldn't it?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, it would.
Now, listen, this is all very interesting stuff because I tell you why. We were talking about food before. We've been talking about to our expert Lisa Daly.
That's right.
About pudgy middle-aged men. Do you know who are at risk of putting on most weight on a daily basis?
Who?
Those who don't get enough sleep.
Is that right? Well, that's you then.
Well, it's not me because I don't need sleep.
No, you don't get enough though.
No, these are people who are like insomniac or simply troublesome sleepers. I'm not.
Well, but you don't sleep enough. It's obvious.
No,
you don't. I mean, you cannot survive on 3 hours of sleep a day. It's not normal.
Well, it says here, lack of sleep can make you fat. It says people who do not get enough sleep at night are more likely to overeat during the day. Okay,
right. It's very exciting at the moment, by the way. Just to interrupt you, because it's at the bottom of the 8th, right? Yeah. Cleveland have got a man on 3rd, I think. There's 2 outs, 6-4.
Yeah, like nobody cares.
If they can bring somebody in, it'll be 6-5. It's going to be very, very exciting.
Yeah, so exciting that, the world is gripped.
This is one of the greatest games in the world when it's at this kind of level, when it's the final game of the World Series.
It's only played in America, mate.
No, it's not.
It's played a bit in Japan, a bit in Cuba.
It's played in Cuba, it's played in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah, hang on. Cuba is one of the poorest countries in the world, so nobody cares about it being played in Cuba.
No, they do care, because a lot of the players that play in the National League in America play in Cuba.
Yeah,
it's also played in Canada as well.
But that's like saying Senegal is a major footballing power. It's not, but it supplies a lot of players to the French national team.
Well, Senegal's not a bad team, better than England.
Not at the moment, no.
Are you sure?
But anyway, look, what researchers discovered is that sleep deprivation can be linked to taking on as much as 385 extra calories a day.
I'm sure that's right.
And that would pile on the pounds, okay?
Is that because when you sleep you are burning more calories than when you're awake?
No, I think what it is that when you're awake, because your body needs fuel, you give it fuel, if you see what I mean. Whereas when you're in your dormant state... By the way, a dormouse is the animal in this country that hibernates for longer than any other animal.
Is that right?
It can hibernate for up to 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Now, why do you think it's called a dormouse?
Well, I would imagine it's something to do with it being a mouse seen near a door.
No. Dormier.
Dormier, or sleep.
Yeah, exactly. The French word for sleep. Dormier.
Okay.
Get it?
Yeah, very good.
See?
I didn't know that.
See, isn't that a bolt out of the blue of knowledge from me?
Very nice.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you for that.
Anyway, getting back to why you get fat if you don't sleep.
Is that why dormouse or dormice are very slim?
Exactly, because they hibernate for such a long time. Now then, what's your problem? Right, you see, sometimes you have these sporadic laughing fits and all you're doing is covering your ignorance.
No, I'm not.
You are covering ignorance.
I laugh because I find something funny. Sometimes I laugh because I've just read a very funny tweet. Sometimes I laugh because I'm anticipating what you're about to say.
Yes.
And sometimes I just laugh for no reason at all.
Yeah, I know, because you're losing your marbles.
I don't mind ignorance.
No, it says researchers from King's College London say that getting too little sleep affects the body's hormones.
Yeah.
Meaning people need to eat more to feel full. This work has just been published in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition, which is where I found it.
Is it?
Yes.
I didn't know you got that one.
Yes, and it found that sleep-deprived people who get less than 5.5 hours a night...
That's you.
...consume an average of 385 calories a day, more than those who had 7 hours.
That's interesting. Do you know how many calories a day you imbibe?
Not many. Not many. I mean, for instance, what did I eat yesterday?
I don't know.
All day yesterday.
I've no idea.
I'll tell you.
Corned beef sandwich?
No, but you're not far away.
Roast beef sandwich?
No.
Ham sandwich?
No, I had 2 croissants packed full of salmon.
What?
Salmon.
Salmon?
Yeah, it was lovely, honestly.
What, smoked salmon on a croissant?
No, tinned salmon.
Oh, tinned salmon?
Yeah, tinned salmon. It's lovely.
Right, okay.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it was great. With tomatoes.
Well, was that red or pink salmon?
It was red. It was the best stuff. Wild red salmon. Cost £7.20 a tin.
Yeah, £7.20 a tin?
It does, yeah, honestly, yeah.
Well, everybody else pays £4 for it.
No, it's £7.20, the big tin.
What, you mean the double tin?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
What, you ate a whole one of those?
Yes, but in 2 croissants.
Well, that's loads and loads. Look, the Cleveland Indians are coming home.
What?
The Cleveland Indians are coming home.
Well, sorry, what are you on about?
It's a 2-run home run.
Who cares?
It's all square. It's 6-all. It's fantastic.
It's not fantastic.
It's the Chicago Cubs who were winning 6-3 are now back to 6-all.
Whose grounds
at
has
the
been
bottom
played
of the
8th? Whose grounds
it's in Cleveland, I think, isn't it?
No, it's in Chicago, isn't it? From what I can make out. But I mean, how would I know? I don't even
I think
care.
it's in Cleveland.
Yeah, it's in Cleveland?
Yeah.
Well, don't keep, shouting out. And
that's a very
alarming...
exciting thing that just happened.
No, but nobody's listening. Not millions of listeners in this country. I know we have worldwide listeners.
We do.
But the millions of listeners that we attract in this country simply don't care. And I wish you'd accept that and stop imposing upon them, the elements of American sport that nobody cares about.
Well, here's what I would suggest to you, right?
Yes.
If you think eating a croissant, which is made almost entirely of butter... Right.
No. Oh, yes, I see what you mean. I didn't put any butter in it, by the way.
But a croissant is made with butter, right? It is a much more rich thing to eat than.
That's why they're called butter croissants.
Some of them are, but you don't really need to call them that. But the point is that if you had, say, for example, that salmon on a sandwich, you would be eating less calories because the croissant has got more calories in it. You've probably had about 1,200 calories in that tin of salmon and 2 croissants.
I doubt it very much indeed. There's hardly any calories at all in salmon.
That's not true.
No, it is true, honestly, it is. I know these things, All I had was some pepper on it. It was very nice indeed. And tomatoes. And tomatoes are made mostly of water.
Tomatoes and salmon?
Yeah. That's lovely.
You should have cucumber with salmon.
No.
Yes,
I
you
have
should.
tomatoes, and I slice the tomatoes up, properly. And
so you had salmon and tomato sandwich in a croissant?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that was one meal?
Yes, that's right.
So what else did you have?
I didn't have anything else.
Well, that's all you ate all day?
Yes, that's right, yes.
Well, that's not enough food for a whole day.
Well, it is. It kept me very nutrified, so I wouldn't worry about it. Yeah, indeed, yeah.
Did you know that on... have you seen the time, by the way?
Don't worry about the time.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the time, but I'm going to tell you something else about what to see in the night sky.
Okay.
On November the 14th, this is actually coming from Becky.
Yeah.
As night sets, have a look at the sky, because you will see the moon at its biggest and brightest in nearly 70 years.
Wow.
And it won't put on a similar display until 2034. It's another supermoon.
Yes. That's the day on which I'm due to have my teeth done.
Is it?
But it looks like I'm not going to have my teeth done because the people...
Aren't you going to be doing jury duty?
Well, exactly. The people who organise jury service don't care that millions of people will have access...
That as an excuse, say you've got some medical emergency.
Well, I've told them so many other reasons why I'm not eligible for jury service, but they still don't mind that anybody could phone into a phoning show here after I'm sitting on jury all day to ask me how the trial's going, you know what I mean? Including people who might be representing the defendant.
Yes. Well... I mean, I think they've singled you out. It's beginning to look like that.
I think you could be right.
Time to break, apparently.
Indeed.
We keep getting shouted at by the producer. This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Wake up in the morning, there's a snap around the place. Wake up in the morning, there's a crackle in your face. Wake up in the morning, there's a pop that really says, "Nice kisses to you, and you, and you." We're on the milk and listen to the sound that says it's nice. We're on the milk and listen to the crackle of that rice. Get up in the morning to the pop that says it's rice. Hear them talking Rice Krispies.
That's the Rolling Stones.
I can't believe
Isn't
that.
that amazing?
I cannot believe that.
I've never heard that before.
I've never heard that before. It couldn't have been used much, otherwise we'd have all remembered it by now.
Apparently it was used in Britain in 1964.
Yeah, but for how long?
Well, maybe not very long.
No, but I think it's only in the last 2 years, isn't it, that any Beatles track has been allowed to be introduced into a commercial.
Yes.
Because for years and years, Northern Songs who owned it originally, and then Sony, I think, owned it.
And then Michael Jackson.
They wouldn't allow it to be used in jingles. But they have, I mean... Baby, you can ride my car.
This is apparently a song that was co-written by Brian Jones and the J. Walter Thompson Advertising Agency for Rice Krispies, which is remarkable, really.
It is absolutely remarkable, and I just don't know why it's not had a bigger audience over the years.
It does give you an insight as well into the commercial kind of ambitions of the Rolling Stones, because I mean, that early on, they were looking to do commercials.
Sure. They were one of the first groups, weren't they, to establish their own label.
Yeah.
What was it called?
Well, it was Rolling Stones Records, wasn't it?
Sorry, the logo was that big tongue, wasn't it?
The big tongue,
represented
and
Jagger's
they called
tongue.
themselves the Glimmer Twins.
They
produced their own stuff.
Yeah, that was an unofficial name, actually, for Richards and Jagger, wasn't it? You know, who sort of distanced themselves from the rest of the group because they wrote the songs, so to speak.
Now, Ernie says this, please, please, please don't mention the fall in Porkyvision. New Zealand and Australia haven't seen the final episodes yet. So you can mention it, but you just have to not give away the ending.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Do you think you can do that?
Well, I mean, look, I am, very anxious not to upset our Antipodean friends because they represent a very important part of our audience. But there are millions around other parts of the world who have seen it and will want to know what I make of it. You know?
Now, the Taipei Magpies have sent a tweet. They say baseball is the #1 sport in Taiwan. Football is a minority sport. Take note, Porky.
What's a minority sport?
Football.
Football's where?
Taiwan.
Football's a minority sport in Taiwan?
Yes, and baseball is the #1 sport.
Well, in that case, mate, Taiwan is a minority country if football's not big there, because it's big in every other country
to China.
In the world.
Lord Rallo says, tell El Planco Cuba is a world power in baseball, currently ranked #5.
Oh, well, that's not a world power then, is it?
Why not?
Well,
there's 5 members of the Security Council.
I didn't even know that 5 countries played baseball.
Well, I've just told you. Taiwan.
Yeah.
You said Japan.
Yeah.
We said Canada.
Yeah.
United States.
Yeah.
Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Cuba.
Yes, that's
6.
Yeah. So and they're 5th. Yeah. So that's not exactly a world power, is it?
Well, I would say it is.
Yeah, well, I would say it isn't.
Okay.
Most people, by the way, think that it was very arrogant of the Americans to call what we're watching at the moment the World Series, bearing in mind that America are the superpower of baseball, obviously, in the world, and very few other people play it. But, of course, we know, having lived in New York, it's called the World Series because it was originally sponsored by
a newspaper called The World.
The New York World, absolutely right. And that's why it's called the World Series, not because
people who are disparaging of baseball always say, why do they call it the World Series? There's no other countries in it.
That's right,
and you go, well, actually, you're not right about that.
Absolutely.
Kevin says, don't forget the Cleveland Indians have a fielder named Coco Crisp playing tonight.
Coco Crisp, you're joking. Is that a joke?
No, it's not a joke.
Can't be his real name,
Why not?
can't be.
It could be.
I don't think so.
Now, it's the top of the ninth inning. It's 6-all.
Yes.
It could go to extra innings, this now.
Could it really?
Yeah.
Wow, good God.
See, you wouldn't have been in New York when the Mets won against the Boston Red Sox.
Definitely not. Or if I did, it passed me by.
It was one of those iconic things. I went to see a Billy Joel concert in the middle of the series. You know, they play the best of 7 games.
Yeah, where was that? At the Garden?
It was at the Garden.
Yeah.
And he, being a big New York Mets fan,
yes, exactly,
insisted on giving out the scores in between songs.
Really?
It was a fantastic night because every time a song ended, he would then give the report on, it's the top of the 5th, the score is this, and this.
Yes.
And the World Series that time was famous for the fact that there was a guy called Bill Buckner, who, practically the final hit of the game, the Red Sox were winning.
Right.
And he was a fielder. And the Mets hit the ball, and it went through his legs.
Right.
And he became one of those hapless people who was blamed for it for the rest of his life.
Yeah, will always now be remembered for that one mistake.
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, I've never been to a Billy Joel concert, but I think he's a great, great singer. Every time I read a review of a Billy Joel concert, because at the age of 67, he's still doing them.
He is, yeah. In fact, he's doing a couple here, I think. Soon.
He is. You're absolutely right, because I saw they were sold out, and it's next year, isn't it, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the reviews are fantastic. They say that he's just sensational, and one of the reasons why is that he comes on stage, he plays all the hits that everybody knows him for, and then he says, thanks very much, have a great night, and he goes off stage.
Yeah.
Unlike a lot of artists who use tours these days to promote their new album and play people a load of songs that nobody's ever heard of, and you're sitting there wondering why all these notes sound so odd and all that kind of stuff. Billy Joel doesn't do it. He actually said he hasn't written a song for 40 years because he doesn't see the need to, and he knows what people like when he performs a concert.
Yeah.
He doesn't want you've got a captive audience when you have a sellout concert.
And also for guys like him, where you're playing stadiums, you're making so much money from the concert, you don't need to worry about selling another album.
No, exactly.
You don't have to worry about promoting it, do you?
I don't think he has made an album literally for about 30 years.
No.
He hasn't written a new song for about 40 years. And he said, why should I? He said, I'm not going to improve on the stuff I had when I was at the peak of my ability to write and perform, And I think that's a fantastic view to take. Because I think when you go to one of these concerts and people start trying to play their new LP, don't they understand that actually what you're doing is you're playing stuff that nobody's ever heard of? So
but it's all right if you keep doing stuff which is better or good. But, I mean, if it isn't any better or if it's worse, then there's not much point.
I wouldn't agree. I would say, take Oasis or something like that, and their first LP was great, and their second LP was very, very good. But if I went to a concert after their first LP had hit number 1, I'd expect to hear all the songs off the first LP. Now, if they were playing some songs off the second LP, which subsequently became very well-known tracks, that's not a problem in the long term. But in the short term, when you're hearing a record for the first time, you need time to digest it in your head, don't you? And think, does this sound any good or not?
Sometimes, but I mean, there's nothing better than going to see a rock band and listening to their new songs because, you suddenly think these are just as great as everything else they've ever done.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, no, I looked at it that way.
Well, that's why you've always got the greatest hits albums, because that's what you like.
Yeah, I know, but the greatest hits are great hits. If somebody plays you a song for the first time, you can't make out in your head at the time, I'm not sure if this is a good record or not. I can't make it out.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw Led Zeppelin in Nebworth, they played all the songs that you knew them for, but they also had some special songs that they did very, very brilliant performances of live, which you would never hear on a record. They would just be longer versions. Well, like Kashmir started off with a fantastic sort of long guitar solo by Jimmy Page.
Oh, yes.
When it was the first use of lasers, and he was actually using a bow to play the guitar.
A bow?
And he was inside.
Wow.
He was inside a pyramid, funnily enough,
a pyramid
of lasers. And as he started strumming the guitar, the pyramid started to turn around faster and faster and faster until it was going round so fast that it looked like he was inside a tunnel. I mean, it was brilliant. It was just absolutely utterly brilliant.
That sounds like special effects rather than any sort of great musical ability.
It's a light show. You know, it's what they do. I mean, if you see Coldplay now, an awful lot of their show is all about the way the lights work.
Oh, is it?
Did you not see them playing at Glastonbury?
No, why would I watch them playing at Glastonbury? Playing in a field, a great group and all that with a dodgy sound system that disappears into the ether because of the openness of the arena in which they're playing. No, I didn't, no.
I could tell I could never convince you of any of this. Paul says this, baseball is relatively boring, but any sports fan must be interested in this final game, as it is riveting. And Steve says baseball is big in Europe, like Holland, for example, and they have an office in London, Major League Baseball. They're one of my customers.
Sure. I was in a bar the other day when I was talking to the guy.
I don't believe that.
The guy who was serving the drinks. It was quite early. So,
the barman?
There was nobody else in there.
What do you mean early?
Oh, I don't know, about 11:30. Because I'd been to see somebody.
Had you?
Doing a bit of work, and I was on my way back. He told me now that young people, and I think we've touched on this before in the show, are drinking enormous amounts of gin.
Yes, well, gin has become a very trendy drink again.
And that not only is it becoming trendy, but he said that every day now he's getting this guy ran this bar, by the way, he's getting a call from a different new gin distillery. He says they're popping up all over the place.
Do you know where most gin is actually made?
And they're boutique distilleries.
Yeah. Do you know where a lot of it's made? And something like 80% of gin is actually made in Scotland.
Is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Which I only discovered a few weeks ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there you
I
are.
have to say.
How about this from St. John? Porky's on a roll tonight. He's already offended women, Cuba, Taiwan, and there's still half an hour to go.
What about Scunthorpe?
Yeah, you forgot about that.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
That's Scunthorpe as well. Added it in. Coming up next, though, is Porkyvision. Try not to offend our Antipodean fans by giving away the end of the fall.
Indeed.
Or indeed anything else. This is Talk Sport.
Yes.
Talk Sport on DAB, digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The enduring home of football.
It's modern radio, only better.
Talk Sport.
As your TV reviewer, I can reveal there are no plans for a new series.
Yeah, no, but wasn't there a previous series?
Oh, hang on, wait a minute. It says here there might be a new series. What's your problem?
That music can only signify one thing. It is the time of the week for the biggest television review in the modern world.
Yes.
It is Mr. Parry's Porkyvision, of course. It is happened to be to fall in the right in the middle of the ninth inning in the World Series Game 7. So we may have to interrupt it occasionally if something happens.
We won't.
There's been an out, by the way, for the Indians. So they've got 2 more outs to go. And it looks as though it's going to be a very fascinating conclusion.
Yeah, people care far more about Porkyvision than they do about some bum, baseball game going on the other side of the Atlantic, honestly.
Okay, well, let's get on with it then.
Now then, old Poldark, okay?
Poldark.
One episode left. One episode left out of the 10.
It's been going for a long time, isn't it?
It's terrific, though, because now it's reached a peak of sexual frisson, okay?
Has it?
Right. See, what happened is, old Poldark, who really loved the woman called Elizabeth, okay? Who's, from a distinguished, stately family.
Oh, yeah.
Related to the Poldark clan.
Is he meant to be sort of from the aristocracy, as it were, or is he meant to be sort of a horny-handed son of the soil?
No. He is from aristocracy, but there's 2 sides of the family, you see, and they're divided by a rich uncle in the middle, and the rich uncle is the one who looks after Elizabeth. She's on that side of the family, because cousins used to marry each other quite a lot in those days, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
So Elizabeth is on that side of the family that's got a lot of money and all that kind of stuff, and Poldark was a vagabond, in Cornwall. Used to go around drunkenly,
sort of black sheep of the family.
Yeah,
type.
that's right. And the history is he appeared in court on drunken and brawling charges, and was told he'd either be locked up for a lot of years or he'd have to join the army and go and fight in America, which is what he did.
Right.
And then he came back and reclaimed his father's estate, but his father had gone bankrupt because the mine had collapsed.
Okay.
And all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But he should have married Elizabeth. But anyway, we got back.
Why didn't he marry her then?
Well, because she, while he was away, thought he didn't pay her enough attention, all that. So she went off and married some other guy who's drowned in Poldark's mine.
Drowned in his mine?
Yeah. He went to Poldark.
What was the water doing in his mine?
Well, Poldark reopened the mine, and then this jerk who's married to Elizabeth went in there with a pickaxe and knocked his way through a hole in the wall, jumped through, and it was a 200-foot pit of water.
Was it an oil mine, was it?
No, it was a water mine, but this guy had never learned to swim, even though he was brought up in Cornwall. It's rather stupid.
Well, a lot of people didn't know how to swim then, I suppose.
Yeah, well, that's true. Anyway, what happens is, Elizabeth has now announced she's marrying a chap who is Poldark's nemesis, arch enemy, from another Cornish family.
Oh, dear.
Who has got lots of money because his father looked after his empire, I think his name is George. Something like that, yeah.
Okay.
So this is the amazing thing. Now, Poldark is married to the beautiful Demelza, okay?
Demelza, yes.
And she's got the auburn hair.
And is she not the girl who was of sort of peasant stock?
She used to be a scullery maid.
That's right, yeah.
Scullery maid who he found, cowering in a hovel somewhere, and he sort of rescued her and gave her a job, and then decided she looked pretty tasty, so he'd take her to the bedroom, and then after a bit of Rogerisation, decided, I think we'll get married because I want more of this every night.
Yes.
So,
and then they had a child, didn't they?
They had a child, but unfortunately, sadly, the child died,
really?
I'm afraid, of the fever. But they've now had another one. But Anyway, so he gets home one night with Demelza there, and they all talk like this, they're all from Poldark country, Cornwall and Devon and all that, sir, yes, sir. And Demelza says, "Oh, have you heard about Elizabeth?" "No," says Poldark. Uh-huh. And she says, I'm hearing with my ears that Elizabeth is marrying George."
Oh, dear.
And Poldark says, "It can't be allowed. It can't happen."
Then he flies into a rage.
But then he jumps on his horse, gallops over.
So they show another bit of him riding along the top of the cliff.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Which seems to be in every episode.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Why do they not realise that it looks exactly the same?
Well, I don't know.
He's always going the same way.
Anyway, but he's full of rage. So he gallops over there. This is the amazing thing, you see. And he gets to Elizabeth's house.
Yeah.
But he's knocking on the door. And it's like that Paul McCartney song, "Someone knocking at the door, somebody ringing the bell." But
So she doesn't have a bell, presumably.
Didn't have a bell in those days, no. So, but nobody's answering the door. So old Poldark, still mad in rage, goes round the back of this Jacobean mansion and just kicks the door down, boots the door down.
Yeah.
Then he storms upstairs to Elizabeth's room, he bursts in, kicks another door down, says, you can't marry George. He says, "I can't, I love him." And he says, "No, you love me." And then, woof, bang, straight into it.
Woof, bang?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Horizontal refreshment.
Really?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Dear me.
And
he doesn't force himself on it, does he?
Well, it's quite controversial, actually, because while you were away, there was debate about, was this sort of, almost like rape or something like that.
Yeah.
But in fact, it wasn't. It was that sort of sexual tension which suddenly, exploded and they gave themselves to each other and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah. All very Mills and Boone.
Oh, yeah, because the next morning, she certainly wasn't complaining about anything because...
Well, he stayed the night.
Oh, yeah, all night. This is the thing.
What about his missus?
Well, I'm about to tell you. So, and he wakes up in the morning and she's very loving and all that kind of stuff. And he says, I better put my shirt on and get back. So he put
his shirt on.
Yeah.
So presumably he has his shirt off the whole time.
Well, yeah.
What about George? Where was he?
Well, they're not married yet, you see. So he wasn't in the house because it was just the announcement of the marriage which prompted him to gallop across the hills on Black Bess or whatever.
Did they show him galloping back?
Yeah, galloping back. Yeah, it was just as dawn's coming up, you know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, when he gets back, Demelza is putting the washing up in the yard. So he gallops in, gets off his horse.
So where did she think he'd been then?
Well, she knew. This is the point.
Oh, right.
Because this is the way they worked in those days.
It's not going to end well, is it?
Eh?
It's not going well.
So she says, "You've been with Elizabeth," and he says, "It was my duty. I had to stop the marriage." And you're thinking, what? By
Rogerising her.
By Rogerising her, by giving her one, basically, and you're trying to stop the marriage, And
well, it could work.
And Demelza says, "I don't like this." And Demelza turns round, but then she whips round again, and bang, she punches Poldark in the eye.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, in the face, knocks him to the floor, and then storms off, So anyway, what happens next?
It's all happening in Poldark. I mean, they've had 9 episodes of nothing happening.
It's all happening.
Yeah.
So what happens next is they then get invited to a ball, a posh ball.
Right.
And he says, "I'm not going because it's, the part of the family which are involved on the other side of the marriage."
Oh, you might see George there.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And she says, "Well, I am going." So she dresses up beautifully, goes over there. And then there's this fantastic scene where there are 3 men fighting outside her bedroom door to get in to Rogerise her.
What?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt.
3 men?
They're outside debating, who's going to go first.
Well,
and all
who's
this kind of
the
stuff.
third one?
Well, there's a soul... No, there's not even Poldark. I mean, she goes to this ball, and the 3 men who are lining up outside one of them is Captain Stewart, who is a noble, soldier and a friend of Poldark's.
Okay, so he knows that's his wife.
Oh, yes. Oh, everybody knows it's Poldark's wife.
Very loose morals in this
Very
show.
loose morals indeed, but they say, "He's not treating you properly, my dear. I can show you a good time."
So that seems to be the answer to everything.
Why don't you get that dress off, and all this kind of stuff, yeah. And then George, who is a really rascally villain, sends his mate along to,
George, the one who's marrying Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, that's right, yeah. Sends his mate along and says, I want you to debauch her,
Dear.
But that's just to hurt Poldark, you know what I mean? Debauch her.
Yeah.
And the third one is the guy who's thrown the party, who's an elderly nobleman, who decides that as she's staying in his house that night, in the Red Room, by the way, it's his opportunity. So he's going to get in there as well.
So how does that all end up then?
Well, they all sort of fight outside the door until one of them, sort of makes it clear he's going to be, the suitor.
The nominee.
Yeah, and they go in, but, old Demelza's had a sort of a change of conscience, and she's escaped through the window and fled.
Right. Very wise.
But nevertheless, she's not forgiving Poldark in any way for his indiscretion.
Uh-huh.
Now, at the same time, there's another woman involved in this called Verity.
Right.
And she's the sister of Elizabeth,
Uh-huh.
but she's as plain as a piece of white paper, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
And she can't get much horizontal refreshment.
Well, maybe she should have gone down to the do.
Yes, she should. Yeah, she should.
Seems to be a lot of it happening down there.
But she has found herself a sort of elderly sea captain, who would basically Rogerise.
That was the needed line, wasn't it?
Yeah, he would basically Rogerise a dead whale, you know what I mean, that he'd found floating alongside his ship or something like that. But he decides to take up with Verity, you know. And so she's, sort of whey-faced, walking around, not sure what's going on. And then there's Beatty, who is a little minx. She's about 18.
And who's she then?
Well, she's like the niece of the guy who owned the house where the party took place, you see what I mean?
Right.
And she wants to Rogerise the Doctor. Because she thinks...
Who's the Doctor?
Well, this Doctor is a mate of Poldark's who keeps going around and rescuing all these miners who get crushed in Poldark's mine.
Right.
Because Poldark opens the mine saying, I'll give you all employment. And then as they all file in with their picks, the roof collapses. They're all, all being buried under 8 tons
it's
of...
It's nearly time to be over now, this thing, by the way.
But anyway...
So the final episode's coming up.
And the Doctor's into Rogerisation mood now with Beatty the Minx.
Okay.
But, he's so torn in his own head, he's decided he's going to join the Navy and become a surgeon at sea.
Right.
But, I mean, all they used to do was saw off people's legs in battle.
Yeah.
And quite often they were so intoxicated because it was such horrible work, they were sawing off the wrong leg, as I've told you, which was terrible. But anyway, look, the other place where it's happening is The Missing. This is the fantastic,
It's funny enough, I watched a couple of those at the weekend,
And
it's very dark.
It's very dark, but did you realise Sam, who's the father of the missing girl Alice, except it's not Alice, it's the other girl.
Well, we're not sure,
They've sent the wrong girl back and all this kind of stuff. But he's having, horizontal refreshment with a member of the military police.
Yes.
In a hotel, like a travel lodge or something, while his wife's in the car outside watching this terrible
That's Laura
affair.
Fraser, isn't it? She's very good, her.
Laura Fraser.
Laura Fraser is the woman that he's having the Rogerisation with.
That's right. But the thing is, where it confuses the viewers, including me, is that the military police woman who he's Rogerising looks very much like another military police woman who is pregnant with a child, but who is going round giving all the bad news to the family about the disappearance of Alice and the finding of Alice and all that.
Yeah. Isn't that the same woman?
No.
I think it is.
It can't be.
No, it is.
It can't be.
I'll tell you, the whole show is very confusing, though, because they keep jumping from one year to another without telling you which year it is.
They can't be the same woman, because one of the women has got, is carrying a sort of, I see, it could be a different time frame.
Yeah, it's a different time frame.
Could be a different time frame.
Yes, that's the point. She's pregnant later, but earlier not.
Ah, right. Now, this could be the case.
Yeah.
And also, he's got a load of burns on his body.
Well, that's because it's later.
Yeah, but you know what happened?
Yes.
His daughter set fire to the shed in which she was living.
Well, I didn't know that.
And he tried to burst in to rescue her.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know that.
Yeah.
But that's why when you see him without the burns, you know that it's earlier on.
Yes. Well, I've never seen him without the burns. He always seems to have the burns.
No, he doesn't. They show him without the burns.
Do they? I've not noticed that.
Yeah, which is very confusing.
Yeah. Anyway, that's what it's all about. Mostly all about Rogerisation this week.
There's a lot of it about.
Yeah, there is.
Thank you very much indeed. That was Porkyvision. There'll be another one same time next week.
Indeed.
This is Talk Sport.
Indeed.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
He says, son, can you play me a memory? I'm not really sure how it goes, but it's sad and it's sweet and I knew it complete when I wore a younger man's clothes.
Piano Man,
who did that?
Billy Joel.
Oh, Billy Joel, yeah, great guy.
You're such a fan of Billy Joel. I think you might know that one.
That didn't sound like Billy Joel. It sounded like a version of his...
Well, it's when he was quite a bit younger, his voice was quite a bit higher.
Yeah, I like that one about... which is a song I really liked,
Always a Woman to Me.
Yes, Always a Woman to Me is great, yeah.
That's a good one.
Right, that was a great one, yeah. Always a Woman to Me.
Uptown Girl.
Uptown Girl was brilliant because they made that
Christy Brinkley.
Yeah, they made that in a garage 3 streets away from me on the Upper East, 77th and 1st. That's right, yeah. And there's a big punch-up, actually, during the making of it, because some guy went past, not realising it was Christy Brinkley, and made a lewd comment to her.
Oh, yeah.
Well, old Billy Joel was in his overalls because he was being filmed as a mechanic.
Yeah.
And he ran out and threatened him with a spanner.
Oh, did he?
Allegedly.
Okay. How about this from David? He says, I thought I heard Sam Allardyce in Porkyvision. I didn't know he was in Poldark.
What do you mean?
I think he was referring to your accent.
Oh, really? Oh, I don't think it was there, no.
William says this, I wonder if all the filmmakers of animated films know that Porky's a master voiceover, mastering all accents.
Yeah, well, I do try to just bring the atmospherics to it. It's as simple as that, OK?
And here's one from Jay the Cabbie. It sounds like Bill Clinton is a modern-day Poldark.
Yeah, I think he is.
Maybe he was.
I think he still is, isn't he? I mean... Isn't one of the reports that have dominated the campaign as well? He's got a new girlfriend, Bill Clinton. Supposed to have a new socialite girlfriend, isn't he?
There's all kinds of stories around Bill Clinton that have now resurfaced, including one in which she's alleged to have a sort of long-lost son.
Well, that's been going around for years.
Yeah, but it's never been confirmed, has it?
Is the boy black?
No, I don't think so.
Because the picture I've seen of a boy is that he had an affair with a waitress in Mississippi or somewhere.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep an eye on the game. It's the bottom of the 9th now.
Don't worry too much about it.
A piece.
Listen, have you got any ashtrays around your country pad?
Oh, I've got some ashtrays though.
Ashtrays, you idiot! You got any ashtrays?
I don't think so.
Because they're dying at a very rapid rate.
Well, they're suffering from a terrible disease, aren't they?
They are. 125 million
Wasn't
ashtrays.
this about 2 years ago this started?
Well, it's called ash dieback.
That's right, yeah.
And it's getting worse. We used to have 125 million ashtrays, right? No. We've got 1 billion ashtrays, but 125 million ashtrays are going to be wiped out by ash dieback.
How many have we got?
We've got... we've got 125 million.
Right.
But about 5 million are in danger.
The other way round.
Eh?
Well, that's less than 5%, isn't it?
Yeah, it's still an awful lot of trees.
Acceptable losses, collateral damage.
No. The killer fungus is even more lethal than we first thought.
But if there's a killer fungus, why is it only killing 5 million of them? Why is it killing all of them?
Actually, this is even worse. No, this is even worse.
You've got it wrong.
You know, I told you 5%.
Yeah.
No, only 5% might survive. Seriously.
So out of 125 million, what you're actually saying is 5 million will survive.
About 6 or 7 million, about 5%. Yeah, and 100 million ash trees could die.
Right.
And by the way, it's not just the ash trees that are going to die from ash dieback.
Yeah.
It is spreading to closely related plants like lilac, jasmine and privet.
Oh, right.
Now, you know what a privet hedge is like.
A hedge, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, it'll be like Dutch elm disease, which killed off all the elm trees in this country.
Funny enough, in the journals that I've been examining, it says it could be a repeat of the devastating Dutch elm disease, which wiped out nearly all of our 30 million elms in the 1970s.
Yeah. Well, we had a fantastic elm tree on the second hole of Royal Mid Surrey, which was a golf club I was a member of.
That's right, yeah.
And it was a very, very apart from the fact it was a very beautiful tree, it made the hole very difficult because the tree was sort of stuck on the left-hand side of the fairway.
Yeah, I see.
And so if you ended up driving down the left-hand side of the fairway, you couldn't get round the tree. But it got Dutch elm disease, and they had to cut it down.
Really?
Thereby making the hole an awful lot easier.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't you tell me you pulled a tree down on your estate recently?
I did, yeah.
What happened?
Not in my estate, in my garden. There's been a dead tree sitting. When you see the garden, you'll realise it's not really a garden. It's a sort of quite a wild area.
Yes.
And there was a tree that had been sort of split. Mm-hmm. Part of it had already fallen down.
Yeah.
And it was not massively tall. I would say it was only about 25 feet tall.
Yes. But still, it's substantial.
But still quite substantial,
structure.
Yeah. And I'd been sort of being nagged to get rid of it and do something with it because it looked a bit unseemly.
Right.
And because I had a bit of time on Saturday, because we got back quite early from the Sicilian trip.
Right.
I decided to sort of make a bit of a start on it, and so I started trimming bits off it and then just sort of pulling it.
Yeah.
Because it was quite weak.
Yes.
And I got a rope and wrapped a rope around it and pulled it a bit more. And
were your sons helping you with this endeavour?
They weren't at that moment, no.
Why not? I thought little boys like doing that sort of thing.
Well, one of them was at a party, I think.
Oh, I see.
And it's just for the bottom of the ninth inning is just finished, and it's all square, so they're going to have to go to extra innings by the looks of it. No score for anybody, which is good news for the Cubs.
Interrupting interrupting interesting stuff with all this rubbish.
Because people are interested.
I couldn't care less.
All right. Anyway, so I pulled it down. And chopped it up for firewood, and I felt very kind of accomplished.
What about the roots?
Felt like the woodsman.
What happened to the roots? Did they come up out of the ground?
Well, no. What happened was I pulled the tree off the roots, effectively. So the roots are still in the ground, but because it's dead, the roots. I mean, all of that will just kind of decompose. I think
you'll have to put some arsenic or something in it to kill them off.
No,
I think you do.
Don't put arsenic down in the garden. I've got a dog.
No, I think you do.
I'm not going to put arsenic in a garden, am I?
Well, I think you've got to find some poison to put into the roots, otherwise, they just stay there.
I will seek counsel from the man who comes around to cut the grass. But he's quite lazy. And if you ever ask him to do anything which doesn't involve cutting the grass, he just kind of shakes his head and goes, I don't think I've got time for that. But I felt quite sort of manly doing it, I'd have to say.
Really? Did you? What, like sort of getting back to nature and all that rubbish?
Yeah. Poldark-like. I felt like maybe I should take my shirt off and start, wrestling with this thing. Because it was quite warm at the weekend.
I think we should start, some campaign where, children of the age of your two lads should start, campaigning to plant more trees. Because if we've lost all the Dutch elm disease and we're going to lose all the ash trees, then we need more trees.
Well, I'll tell you what, you go to any school...
start planting some in the New Forest.
You go to, where they don't have any?
Yeah, exactly.
You go to any school in the country and you'll find that they've got all sorts of schemes to plant trees in the Amazon, but they haven't actually got any to plant them here.
No, that's exactly right. Yeah. You remember that guy who... he was a multi-millionaire publisher who was on the Oz trial... Felix, what's his name?
Oh, I know, yeah.
And then actually showed his genius for publishing.
He's dead now, isn't he?
Yeah, he's dead. Yeah, he died about 2 years ago of excessive living, i.e. drink and, overindulging.
Felix Dennis was his name.
Felix Dennis, that's right, overindulging in horizontal refreshment with a number of women at the same time and all this kind of stuff. He's a great guy. And he made himself terrifically wealthy through publishing. I mean, hundreds of millions of pounds.
Yeah.
And he left a lot of his money to charities to reforest a lot of the Midlands where he lived. He had a big estate in the Midlands.
Right.
And I'm talking about like 2 or 3 square miles of land he wanted to reforest into forest and all that kind of stuff because he loved it. He was a great guy, by the way. He once, when he was completely intoxicated once, completely bladderated, he was doing an interview, even though he was a publisher, he was a personality in his own right as well. Because of this tree campaign.
There was a big lawsuit as well. There was a big trial, wasn't there? The obscene publications trial from that Oz magazine, which in fact he was acquitted from, I believe, wasn't he?
No, he wasn't. I think he was convicted.
Oh,
I think somebody else in that trial went to... It was about publishing...
It was obscene publications, wasn't it?
I think didn't they publish extracts from... Not Lady Chatterley's Lover, that was earlier, wasn't it? That was 10 years earlier. But it was something like that, but you're right, yeah. But anyway, he got completely intoxicated. Oh, nobody messes with me, And the interviewer said, oh, what do you mean? He says, there's this guy so-and-so, and he's trying to mess around with me, so I took him down to my place in a coast, I've got a coastal path, and as we were walking, I pushed him off the cliff, and killed him. So this appeared in print, And of course, the usual thing, because we both had it, you say something when you're bladderated, and the next day it comes back to haunt you. Unfortunately, the interview wasn't published till 3 months later in a quarterly magazine, and all of a sudden, all the newspapers got hold of it. Felix Dennis killed the killer.
Well, it's a bit like Heseltine and the dog. Isn't
exactly.
It?
Yeah, that's right. But the point is, he couldn't even remember talking about it, and he had to spend like the next 2 weeks, giving all these interviews saying, "No, rubbish,
absolute rubbish."
Nonsense.
Yeah, because I seem to remember that story was sort of retold, wasn't it? When he died. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Now it looks as though it's a bit of rain over there in America, so they've had to cover
the rain.
They've had to cover the field up, so we might have to wait some time.
But
it's going to be very exciting. This I may have to go home and watch it.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, off you go.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I guess you'll be sort of boning up on your quiz subject, which is, remind me what it is again.
It's television in this country since the first BBC broadcast in 1936 to the present day, terrestrial television only.
Right, okay. I'll tell you what, there is something that you should watch, actually. Netflix, I was watching a bit of stuff on Netflix yesterday during the day. I was just seeing what was on. Yeah. There's a new TV series on Netflix are doing, an original one, House of Cards.
Yes.
And it's all about the Queen.
What's it called?
Queen Elizabeth. I think it's called The Crown.
Yeah, I think it is, I think it is.
Look out for that, but we haven't got any time to discuss it now, unfortunately. This is Talk Sport.
Don't forget to come back tomorrow for another sparkling, as fizzy as a bottle of champagne podcast from the two mics.
What do you have in the mornings for cereal?
What?
Do you have cereal in the morning?
No.
Not ever?
Never.
Why are you staring off into space?
I'm just thinking, what I do have, I don't know if it's cereal or not, I have a huge bowl. What's your problem?
I'm just waiting. I can't imagine what you're going to say.
Rice Krispies.
Well, that's cereal.
Bowl. Well, it's not.
Of course it is. What do you think it is?
What I didn't realise for about 3 decades is that Rice Krispies are actually made of rice.
So it's still cereal?
No, they're not.
What is it then?
Rice. He thought that my intentions were not honourable. He was right. Because she used to wear pencil-thin skirts.
Pencil-thin skirts?
And she liked climbing...
do you mean pencil skirts?
Pencil skirts, that's right.
Pencil-thin skirts?
Yes. She used to wear pencil skirts. And she loved climbing to the back of my Vauxhall Beaver.
I thought you were going to say something else there.
No, she loved climbing to the back seat of my Vauxhall Beaver, yeah.
Just while you were in the front. I've got to read this out without interrupting you. From Def, he said, Porky remembers the Human League. He was relegated from it in 1984.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it?